Prestige Star Double Clubs Huyanjua. Lin Chong, what wind blew you to the Buddha Kingdom? Your servant hears you signed a contract with the Purple Thunder Monster. Truly disgraceful. The previous Majestic Star did not sign a contract. How have you changed? Huyan Shuang's hand held the wind and moon unmatched, half smiling as she stared at Lin Mei. Are you finished speaking your nonsense? Lin Mei's voice was already scornful and a little bored. That is the Purple Thunder Monster? Odd. Why does your servant feel she is actually like us sisters? Huyan Shuang leisurely asked as she looked at Wuxia. An ice-cold storm suddenly revolted. The Arctic Star Serpent Spear drew a stunning straight line, tearing apart space, emitting a ray of light, directly attacking the Prestige Star. Huyan Shuang was already prepared, easily stepping backwards, holding her double clubs in front of her. Lin Chong, you honestly are impulsive? Bang. The spear and clubs crossed, knocking out sparks when they separated. Without any delay, Huyan Shuang's double club swept, her murderous air seemingly substantial, striking upon the Arctic Star Serpent Spear. Lin Mei raised her hand, neither too quick nor too slow, her spear tip slashing the air to raise an incorporeal barrier. The powerful force of the crossing weapons directly shook each of them back. Shuanger, do you need me to act? Xie Chang'an called out a flying sword, asking as he stood guard against Wuxia. No need to trouble your highness. To face Lin Chong, your servant is sufficient. Lin Mei disdained this as beneath herself, lowering her spear. Watch this, Huyan Shuang smiled. When she stopped, she suddenly pounced, immediately sending dust flying. The two clubs acted with a storm-like aggression. Lin Mei clenched her spear, dashing, her figure disappearing along the way from her original location. Then a spear's light flashed in the air. The two destined star weapons had already slammed into one another. The double club's first wave of quick and violent attacks was calmly blocked by Lin Mei. Not only did she block this attack, Lin Mei suddenly smiled contrarily. Her star energy abruptly swelled, launching a swift calm, yet violent counterattack that surged like a tide. Huyanjua also was a Star General 5 Tiger. Her double clubs easily received the attack, and the two clubs like a shield drew the circle of the Taiji. The two clubs flashed an even more glaring light. The wind lifted was just like blades that extended from the spear, and the surrounding air suddenly turned cold. Yellow rank technique? Huyan Shuang's brows rose. She took a step from where she was, somersaulted into a flying slash, and at the same time, the star crest on her forehead shimmered. Her silhouette became layers of afterimages. Lin Mei and spear advanced, her icy snow flourishing since some unknown time. What was that illusory scene? Snow White and a delicate figure immediately slammed into each other. The speed already radiated dazzling rays. Tyrannical to the extreme that though Xie Chang'an wished to intercede, he was in a powerless state. This was a battle among Maiden Mountain's 5 tigers? Cold snow fluttered about. Each snowflake was sharper than a sword, and the surrounding 100 meters were enveloped in ice and snow. Ice sealed things into statues, and within this hurricane of snow, the two whips danced within the snowstorm, sprinkling killing intent, like interweaving flower petals and snowflakes. After they converges, they gave rise to battle in the end. The Majestic Star's yellow rank technique. Long blizzard nights. The Prestige Star's yellow rank. Windflower leaf fall. Snow moon without scar. The ranked 8th Prestige Star double clubs Huyanjua. Ha! Ha ha! Worthy of a Maiden Mountain 5 Tiger General. Wu Xinjie released star energy for protection, so as to avoid being too late. She observed the battle between the two great generals. They both were Maiden Mountain's mighty 5 Tiger Generals, a 50-50 chance between them. However, Lin Mei clearly had the greater advantage. This much was obvious. Su Xing's star energy advanced by leaps and bounds, breaking through to Galaxy late stage. Although he had contracted too many star maidens and had spread his star energy thin, this was not too shabby. After all, star energy was the superior aspect of a star general's attack power. The genuine demonstration of usefulness was still in pure martial arts. As far as this was concerned, Lin Mei never slacked off, let alone that she sparred with martial generals the likes of Wuxia and Yin Yizhen. Her martial arts were even more refined. To say anything was weaker, perhaps that would be a star master. If Huyan Shuang's Star Master once again used resonance, the prestige star would hold the better advantage. This was the thorny part that Wu Xinjie currently contemplated. Master danger. Hua Shui suddenly sensed danger, and Wu Xinjie kicked, nimbly jumping, disappearing from where she was. When she reappeared, she was already on a tall building. Where she left, several dozen flying swords had plunged. While the star generals are battling, star masters that are not focused will starfall. Xie Chang'an waved his hand, and the 50 resplendent flying swords wound around behind his body. Hehe. Xinjie has an even better proposition. Would it not be better to finish watching the little sister fight to decide the victor? Wu Xinjie was not in the least concerned. Hua Shui arched its back, and was already baring its fangs. This highness is not so patient. Xie Chang'an could tell that Lin Chong was not easy to face, and he did not wish to tarry. Suddenly, he threw out a talisman. When this talisman appeared, a multicolored golden light appeared above Wu Xinjie. The 50 flying swords promptly advanced and combined with the golden lines. A mysterious formation simultaneously appeared beneath Wu Xinjie's feet. Sword array. Wu Xinjie was stunned. Let us see how you will break this, Highness. Heavenly Dragon Sword Array. Xie Chang'an smiled. Suddenly, multicolored light swept out. The 5 dragons' colored glass lamps' bright light glowed. Su Xing's figure rapidly immersed inside the radiance. He was completely indistinguishable, for the pagoda's light was increasingly glaring. Wu Xiao stood outside the light, her expression extremely grim. In that endless amount of light, she could faintly see 5 colored glass treasure dragons currently shuttle around. From time to time, they let out quaking roars. She did not know at this time what Su Xing's situation was. Just as she thought this, odd activity came from the entrance. Wu Xiao immediately stowed her worries. She turned and stared coldly at the newcomers. Laughable Star General, you unexpectedly think to steal the holy object of my Buddha kingdom. Truly you overestimate yourself. A coarse laugh brought a sort of extremely contemptuous attitude. 3 silhouettes entered this pagoda top one after the other. They were the Empty Mountain Secret Xetra's Great Master Still Void, the Dharma Sex Aratha, and the Happiness Together Courtyard Senior Monk Extreme Happiness. To miss the Holy Monk's mercy, benefactors must not become angry. Quickly go back. Great Master Still Void still had a hypocritical expression urging benevolence. To persist obstinately in the wrong ways. Even if you are a star general, this senior monk will take you to be a cauldron. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness also let out wild words. He actually indeed had a reason to be arrogant. With 3 supervoid stage cultivators present, 1 star general was no more than a fish on the chopping board, waiting to be slaughtered. Even the renowned Harm Star Pilgrim Wu Song was merely so. Harm Star Pilgrim, you also are one who believes in Buddha. It would be better for you to partake in comprehension of the happiness great way with this senior monk, to reach the top together. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness suddenly showed a licentious smile. Wu Xiao's beauty was stunning, and he wanted to take the time to take a cheap shot with words. Suddenly at this moment, Great Master Still Void and Aratha promptly shouted, "Look out!" A bone-chilling coldness swept across his stomach. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness was frightened as he used a Buddhist power to block. Courting death, he berated, moving about laterally, but his speed really was too slow. Wu Xiao was suddenly in front of him. Her double-headed sword immediately formed a net, tightly binding the ice-cold sword tip. Her bursting killing intent was like an open floodgate. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness Chan light was completely broken under this sort of murderous aura. The posture of Wu Xiao's figure changed. Her leaning posture was like an arrow loosed from its bow. The noble frost demonic lotus sword's tips intersected and bit, their target the enemy's neck. A Senior Monk Extreme Happiness was terrified to the extreme, unable to even make any reactions. He could only instinctively grab hold of a magic weapon to use, but Senior Monk Extreme Happiness basically was too late to stop Wu Xiao's lightning quick attack. Neither was he in time to adjust his center of gravity, to avoid the sword tip. The icy cold edge passed by his throat, splitting apart. The unbridled Senior Monk Extreme Happiness only felt an ice-cold feeling pierce through his throat, carrying a shudder through his whole body. Then his whole body stiffened. Wuxia gracefully flipped behind him. Blood splattered. Noble Frost Demonic Lotus sucked greedily at the sweetness of the Supervoid cultivator's blood. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness clutched at his throat, turning his head in disbelief. Wuxia flung the Noble Frost Demonic Lotus. Blood trails flowed everywhere from Senior Monk Extreme Happiness' open throat, like two psychic spirit snakes swimming over his whole body. A bloody vapor rushed out from his pores, and Senior Monk Extreme Happiness fell over paralyzed into a pool of blood, all of his arrogance and anger turning to dust. Dark Rank Technique. Blood-splashing Mandarin Duck Senior Monk Extreme Happiness had earlier suffered the hidden loss of his life-cast magic weapon. Facing the Harm Star in close quarters, her Dark Rank Technique, without the protection of a powerful magic weapon, how could he have defended? Besides, Wuxia clearly wanted to get rid of him first when he least expected it. The star energy from her sword did not hold back at all. She cut down Senior Monk Extreme Happiness in the time it took to take a snapshot. Great Master Stillvoid and Aretha were shaken, not having expected the Harm Star would act completely without restraint. She truly was a fiend star, not just in name but also in reality. This is the doom you have brought upon yourself. Aretha furiously roared. He displayed the Vajra Dharma characteristics. His originally fierce body immediately was even more mighty. He lifted his arms and directly grabbed at Wuxia. Great Master Stillvoid also no longer feigned sincerity. He took up and struck a Spirit Mountain Miraculous Dharma Chan staff. Brahmanistic script flew out of the Chan staff, becoming a golden scroll. Promptly using the Dark Rank Technique had made Wuxia suffer injury that was not insignificant. However, there was not other way. Confronting 3 Supervoid cultivators, Wuxia knew that she had no choice but to defeat each one individually. In the case that they cooperated, she definitely was not a foe. For this reason, she did not regret the price of first cutting down the weakest Senior Monk Extreme Happiness. If she used blood-splashing Mandarin Duck to face the other 2, she would not necessarily be successful. Bang bang. Noble Frost Demonic Lotus cut upon Aratha's body that was like steel. The 3-star destined weapon was incapable of penetrating. Aretha seized the chance to punch. Wuxia nimbly dodged, when the Spirit Mountain Miraculous Dharma at this moment followed immediately after. It struck the Harm Star's body, nearly causing her to faint. A bolt of golden light descended. Wuxia raised her hand, blocking the Chan staff with the Noble Frost Demonic Lotus. Mark of Emptiness Elucidation. 2 Great Master Stillvoid shouted. The Supervoid Middle Stage Cultivator's star energy was extremely powerful. Wuxia barely blocked using the Noble Frost Demonic Lotus. Aratha's Vajra Subduing Demonic Fist already punched Wuxia's body. Even if she had star energy protection, this made the Harm Star feel internal injuries. Great Master, leave her to poor monk. Great Master ought to first kill that man, so as to avoid him stealing away the 5 dragons colored glass lamp. Aretha spread his arms, directly pouncing on Wuxia. Fine. Great Master Stillvoid no longer delayed, maneuvering away. Do not think of harming Lord Husband. Wuxia rebuked. Her expression slightly changed. Su Xing currently was meditating under the lamp's light. If he was disturbed, then everything would be for naught. Wu Song, where are you going? Aretha blocked her front like Mount Tai. The counterpart's cultivation and powers were too high, and Wuxia for the time being was incapable of breaking free. Just as Great Master Stillvoid about to enter the endless light, suddenly at this moment, a green light hissed over. Great Master Stillvoid clenched the Chan staff and broke the star magic. Great Master Stillvoid's expression changed. He suddenly stepped back, suspended in the air. As it turned out, a chilly figure had smashed through the floorboards he had been standing on. How is this possible? Great Master Stillvoid's pupils shrunk, for he was overwhelmed beyond compare. A delicate figure walked slowly out from the endless light. Slave servant asks that the Great Master not disturb Master. Slave servant asks that the Great Master not disturb Master. The one whose fist smashed through the void was an apathetic maid. Her fists were yin and yang, cold and warmth mutually reflecting. Suddenly at the same time, A girl of 7 or 8 years of age stepped on air. She wore a multicolored cloud cape, grasping a sword of multicolored light, her manner exceedingly refined, as if she could be compared to holy monk for noble truths. Another 2 girls in blue and gold palace dresses appeared in the back and front, each absolutely gorgeous. All of the girls had a similar characteristic, that their foreheads flickered with star crests. Their identities did not need explaining. Star generals. No, this is impossible. Great Master Still Void was overwhelmed. This was more exaggerated than seeing the actual Buddha. Although he was very perplexed by the star duels, he nevertheless knew the mighty fame of the Star General. Seeing the 4 star generals that walked out of the light, Great Master Still Void thought he was seeing things, stirring his empty eyes. Bang! An enormous noise. A starry silhouette landed by Yin Yizhen. Elder Sister Xiao. And Suan saw that Wuxia was injured because she had used her dark rank and wasted a lot of spiritual power. She immediately used spiritual aura distribution. Era the descended. The man's face was malevolent, his fangs protruding. What is the meaning of this? How can there be another 5-star generals? Era the similarly felt shaken. How could Great Master Still Void have known? You said master just now. Could it be that that man is your star master? Great Master Still Void asked in shock. Big Brother only wishes to blossom this meditative mind lotus flower. We ask that Great Masters be lenient. And Suan gently said. An inhale. Great Master Still Void had never felt this astonished. What a joke. How can one man have so many star generals? Poor monk does not care who you are. Obstructing him today will kill the meditative mind lotus flower? What qualifications does a star master have? Era the furiously bellowed, instantly pouncing. Suan, there is no need to waste your breath on these hypocritical great masters. Wuxia coldly said. Seeing this pagoda top already was incapable of sealing the star nest, the harm star called forth the white and black unicorn tiger to and attacked together. The others also did not be careless. Yin Yizhen's yin-yang carp swam around between her fists, advancing all around the skillful star's realm. Gong Sun Huang's feet stood on air, as she released star magic from the ancient pine brand sword she held. And Suan and Tang Lianxin also attacked. One used the child and mother-linked heart's needles, and the other called the Great Void Golden Lotus. Especially the earthly solitary star gold coin-spotted leopard's Great Void Golden Lotus, that could transform into the 18 arms of Wushu, able to catch people off guard. The 4-star generals cooperated with their full powers, baffling the 2 great supervoid middle-stage cultivators that were unbridled in all places. Shi Yuan released the 5 poisons array as she stood guard beside Su Xing. Seeing Su Xing in meditation, she was anxious and worried. Even if the battle outside the 5 dragons colored glass lamp was separated by a void, the thief star could sense that aggression pounce in her face, only making the flea on a drum's whole body shiver. Su Xing, hurry. Shi Yuan thought. Su Xing's forehead leaked sweat. And at this moment Su Xing met with a great trouble. After he released the 5 dragons colored glass lamp, Su Xing's consciousness immediately was bound. At this time, he was at the center of some mysterious world. A colored glass world opened in the middle of his sea of consciousness. Multicolored auspicious clouds and immortal qi lingered. Countless flying heavenly immortals flew about in the sky. In the surroundings were monasteries and golden halls, Bodhi trees in blossom. And even farther away was a heaven-connecting pagoda. Manifestly superior in this colored glass world were the 5 dragons coiling about. When Su Xing looked over there, he only heard Brahmanistic chanting, like thunder in his ear. Listening closer, the Diamond Sutra, 9 Wonderful Lotus Flowers Sutra, Nirvana Sutra, Altar Sutra of 6th Patriarch, and other sutras intermingled. The originally distinct dharmas were simply static to Su Xing's ears. Su Xing grit his teeth, enduring this noisy baptism as he flew towards that pagoda. Su Xing's forehead hurt. He knew this kind of illusion was perhaps Chao Gai's 3rd calamity, borrowing the endless light of the illusory colored glass void, trapping Su Xing. Everything was merely an illusion of his mind. If it was treated as real, then it was real. If it was treated as fake, it was fake. Real or fake, this was but a matter of a single thought. Even if Su Xing used heart like mirror or the oneness of heaven and man, He was completely unable to see through this. Lifelike enough to be suffocating. Su Xing blasted through. The Bodhi flowers successively bloomed and fell, but that pagoda seemingly had no limit. Regardless of how Su Xing flew, he always was still that far away. It was plainly in front of him, yet it was far on the horizon. The scene at this time changed again. The golden world at this time manifested several figures engaged in battle. Ingmei Xinjie. Su Xing was shocked upon first seeing them. Upon closer inspection, fighting Lin Ingmei and Wu Xinji with Xie Chang'an's 5 Tiger General double clubs Huyan Shuang. However, Su Xing knew this was an illusion or perhaps a projection of this world. They did not hear a single thing that Su Xing said. Su Xing quickly flew without hesitation. Those illusory figures followed along, the scene of battle increasing in intensity, making Su Xing's heart worried. Never expected to surprisingly encounter the knowledge star. Truly this is too good. Among the colored glass figures, Xia Chang'an used a sword array to trap Wu Xinjie. The flying swords twisted in attack, and the sword light pierced through Wu Xinjie's body. The knowledge star had the 9-tailed spirit fox block, but she was powerless. Then Xie Chang'an's flying body raised an artifact, hooking Wu Xinjie's heart. When Lin Ingmei saw, she hurried in a panic to go save her. The flustered majestic star showed an absolutely enormous gap, seized by Huyan Shuang. Double clubs continuously pounded, ripping open terrifying wounds on Lin Ingmei's body. Today the knowledge star and majestic star will starfall here. You can only blame that purple thunder monster for abandoning you. Xie Chang'an laughed. Su Xing felt as if his heart was being cut out. His sea of consciousness seemed to be sucked into something, and his head hurt. Not good, this is an illusion. Su Xing hastily guarded his mind, not allowing himself to be bewitched by this illusion. A scream again rose. Su Xing turned his head to look. Outside, Wuxia was struck by Aratha's punch. Half her body was utterly broken, and that Aratha's Vajra diamond characteristics was mighty beyond compare. He manifested 4 arms, one grabbing the great void golden lotus, spitting a Buddhist light that took Tang Lianxin's life. The efficacious star called forth the good fortune beast, promptly using life-returning magic hands to simultaneously save the elder sisters. Aratha let loose a giant hand that grabbed and squeezed good fortune to death, immediately using another arms to grab the girl. Yan Yizhen and Gong Sun Huang were also suppressed into immobility by the power's great master Still Void used. The Yin Yang Carps had long been killed on contact by the Still Void Chan staff. Without the Yin Yang Carps, confronting the most powerful Buddha Kingdom 6 ancestor Great Master Still Void. Under that Nirvana Jewel will 10,000 Lives Sutra, the 2 girls were gradually beat back. Their bodies bore heavy injuries, their starlights gradually dimming. The circumstances apparently became increasingly extreme. Each detail was about to pull Su Xing closer into the abyss of hatred and despair. The heavily injured girls tottering on the edge of collapse were a miserable scene. Su Xing took in a deep breath. Rather than say his expression was chilly, it was better to say it was ice cold. Ignoring everything, Su Xing shut his eyes, guarded his mind, and did not allow himself to be distracted by outside things. That lifelike scream and pain were seemingly not seen. Don't use this sort of laughable cheap trick. I understand Ingmei and the others far better than you do. Su Xing shouted at the sky. Purple Mansion Immortal Thunder fired, blasting that colored glass world to bits. Do you really think this is a laughable illusion? A voice was beside his ear. That disdainful mocking came from Chao Gai's mouth. Chao Gai, just what cheap trick is your third calamity playing? Su Xing sneered. This is reality. Without you, the Star Master. You think the majestic star has a chance of winning a battle against the prestige Star Master? You think that the current Wu Song and others can fight against 2 of Buddha Kingdom's great ancestors? You think this is only meant to trick you? To treat this as an excuse to comfort yourself with? This is certainly disappointing. Su Xing sneered. Suddenly, he heard Tang Lianxin and Ensuan's groans. At the same time, Su Xing felt something return to his sea of consciousness. This is... Su Xing was shaken. Looking again at the projection, Ensuan and Tang Lianxin had already been killed. Chao Gai's phantom appeared in front of Su Xing, carrying that holier-than-thou attitude. Now you ought to understand, the 5 dragons colored glass light not only can blossom your meditative mind lotus seed, it will also allow you to fully taste the suffering of the people of this world. That everything is actually happening. If you do not comprehend this mystery, they will die. Oh, at least someone will die. Chao Gai gazed at the spent Wuxia and the fatigued Lin Yingmei. Double clubs Huyanjua's attack was increasingly fierce. Lin Yingmei already was powerless to block and could only lift her weapon. The raised double whips were like vipers, continuously biting Lin Yingmei's body, leaving splotches of blood, battered and bruised. Lin Yingmei's expression lost its normal might, leaving only a deep exhaustion. It is because you have violated the contract you signed that the mighty and renowned majestic star would fall to this stage. You must hear her dissatisfaction. Listen to this one's counsel. The sea of bitterness is boundless, yet a turn of the head is the other shore. Chao Gai calmly said. Su Xing looked blank for a moment, and then he smiled. Chao Gai, you talk too much. Buddha says, everything is an illusion. Su Xing was absolutely calm. Chao Gai was taken aback. Suddenly, the colored glass world, the falling Bodhi petals, and the monasteries collapsed. Outside the 7th-floor stupa pagoda, Huang Futiani and his star general faceless Jiao Ruoxue stood on a pagoda, seeing that odd scene. Wind and snow mixed, the gale chilling. Everything at that place had been frozen solid, and in the blizzard, 2 figures endlessly flashed about. 2 weapons went back and forth, emitting bone-chilling sounds. Countless monks already kept their distance surrounding 3 chi. None dared to watch. Wow, that is the majestic star and prestige star heavens, 2 of the great 5 tiger generals. Huang Futiani simply felt this was unbelievable. The corner of his lips smiled excitedly and irritably. 2 great 5 tiger generals are battling each other. How exciting this is. Ruoxue, do you feel we can loot a burning house? He asked. Jiao Ruoxue shook her head, her denial extremely clear. Loot a burning house? She felt her master's brain had broken. Seizing this chance to send experience was a better description. Truly unreconciled, however, not seeing that skillful star truly is strange. Maybe we can dispose of that knowledge star? Huang Futiani was unwilling to give up. The top 10 ranked star generals could not be encountered upon request, and he honestly did not want to miss this. The knowledge star's martial force is not anything at all, however. That star beast White Fox is actually rather powerful, to unexpectedly break the sword array. Huang Futiani exclaimed. Just as Jiao Ruoxue was pondering the feasibility of this, she suddenly gasped, raising her head to gaze at an alley. That is. Clang clang. The crisp sounds of metal clashing rose. The 9-tailed spirit fox seemed to merge into one with Wu Xinjie. Suddenly, she and Wu Xinjie disappeared from the profound sword array. Impossible. Xie Chang'an pounced on nothing, shouting in disbelief. But he had only just yelled when Wu Xinjie already appeared behind him, her expression charming. Xie Chang'an's reactions were absolutely swift, for the 50 flying swords protected his whole body, leaving Wu Xinjie with no choice. Master, you will not use the 8 gates black gold chain? Hua Shui showed killing intent. No need for now. Wu Xinjie could tell that Xie Chang'an was unordinary. To be able to contract Maiden Mountain's 5 tiger general, he was not at all mediocre. It was best to have Xie Chang'an maintain caution. So long as she could stall until Lin Yingmei defeated Huyan Shuang, that was enough. Xie Chang'an indeed was stunned by Wu Xinjie's rapid change. Seeing Wu Xinjie's leisurely spectator attitude, he even thought that she had some trump card. However, the resourceful star was Maiden Mountain's ranked 3rd anyway it was put. The more relaxed and at ease she was, the more she had a sort of mysterious adept's appearance. Xie Chang'an for a time hesitated whether or not to use full power. After all, he knew there was still a purple thunder monster. Everyone in the Azure Dragon territory knew that the majestic Star Panther Head and Purple Thunder Monster had signed a contract, but seeing Lin Chong yet not the Purple Thunder Monster made Xie Chang'an feel odd. Although Wu Xinjie did not match the description of the legendary Purple Thunder Monster, she honestly had this imposing style. Seeing Wu Xinjie focus so much on the Panther Head's battle, He merely took it to be absolute belief in Lin Chong. Xie Chang'an considered that at this point he could only observe any other changes. Xie Chang'an had originally thought to use resonance to help Huyan Shuang support Lin Yingmei, but thinking that the enemy perhaps was secretly spying, he could only dismiss this idea. How could he have known that Su Xing had already gone into the 7th-floor stupa pagoda at this time? And the reason that Lin Yingmei did not follow was only because she had lost her virginity. Anyone else would have thought that this was but a fantastic tale. Huyan Shuang coldly shouted, her double clubs rolling, blocking Lin Yingmei's icy spear. A club then turned into a whip, quickly threading in. Very amusing, Lin Yingmei said. Prestige Star double clubs Huyan Shuang's wind and moon unmatched rose, lifting a severe hurricane. Then she suddenly stepped backwards, and then her leg kicked. With swallow-like speed, she charged, leaping and flying. Lin Yingmei accepted without question. Huyan Shuang's close-range attack once again approached, and Lin Yingmei twirled the spear behind her back, stopping the attacking whip. Her body slightly tilted, avoiding the attacking club. The Prestige Star's club and whip hardened and softened continuously during the attacks, her weapon technique more and more emergent, incomparably strange. Weapon opposed weapon. Appearing simple, the fact was that every collision was deadly. The pair's fight could be rated as unique, intolerant of the slightest mistake. Each attack and each block reached a supreme level. Lin Yingmei and Huyan Shuang from beginning to finish did not so much as glance at their own hands and destined star weapon. Their speed became faster and faster, attack and defense switching increasingly frequently. The movements of their bodies started to become as illusory as their hands, which made the spectating bystanders shocked into not believing their own eyes. The two's attack and defense honestly was too fantastical. In that instant, several hundred exchanges had already unfolded at high speed. The melody of the metallic ringing appeared especially ear-piercing, shaking the air. The collisions of Huyan Shuang's double clubs and Lin Yingmei's spear gave rise to giant impacts, causing the entire earth to shudder, and the air to be even more thick. Huyan Shuang's double clubs posed, and the airflow on the clubs concentrated into sharp light, tearing the viscous atmosphere to shreds. Shredding with a walla sound, the air distorted. The club light was shattered. Lin Yingmei seemed to have suddenly disappeared, and when she reappeared, she was briefly blinding, her spear already stabbing at Huyan Shuang. Huyan Shuang raised her clubs to block this incoming attack. Hey! The spear suddenly disappeared. Lin Yingmei already was abruptly in front of Huyan Shuang. With an air-shattering brilliance, the spear tip became a gorgeous arc, and Huyan Shuang tumbled down. Hey! Lin Yingmei's expression was firm, chasing without hesitation. Before Huyan Shuang had even landed on the ground, the spear linked with a freezing temperature of death. Huyan Shuang's expression was grim, not daring to be careless at all. The corner of her mouth curled with a cold curve. Her double whips wrapped and wrapped around the spear, but then with a bit of force, the double whip still fell. This defense was broken without a sweat. Do you still wish to fight now? Lin Yingmei coldly said, her hair fluttering in the blizzard. Because the surrounding air temperature followed their ice-cold aura. It already seemed as if a cold winter had come early. With her fluttering hair and gentle maiden eyes, those icy and snowy pupils still were somewhat clear, somewhat nimble and merciless. Passing through that increasingly powerful cold light the exceptional destined weapon emitted, Huyan Shuang could clearly see Lin Yingmei's eyes, but from what was transmitted in their exchange of weapons, it was not at all prideful fighting spirit or anger. Rather, it was a kind of indecipherable calm and a sort of leisure as if she was lifting a weight. Upset. Very upset. Worthy of that name, majestic star. Even if you hold the advantage in a battle with your servant, you still wish to let your servant go? This is the pride of a 1,000-year star general? Although it is only by the 4th phase that we can indeed embody our worth as star generals, still, your servant still wishes to pit herself against you. Her aggression was slowly charging. The air around Prestige Star Double Club's Huyan Shuang's body settled into a sort of state that was still as water. In the next instant, her shadow was already in front of Lin Yingmei, slashing with her double clubs, leaving no leeway. Sharper than a sword, amidst a ripping sound, she cut apart her target. But that was merely a shadow. A soft harumph came from behind her, where Lin Yingmei solemnly appeared. The Arctic Star Serpent Spear sneak attacked. Huyan Shuang's reactions were extremely quick, and with a turn she blocked. The double clubs emitted a firelight, retreating at the same time. Lin Yingmei wanted to continue advancing, to relentlessly skewer the prestige star in one go. How could she have anticipated the moment she raised her arm? Her hand would seem to suddenly freeze. Not good. Prestige star Huyan Shuang smirked. Lin Yingmei felt grim. Huyan Shuang's figure turned into a phantom, reappearing in less than half a second. This time, the double clubs became afterimages, flashing by in the air. It was basically impossible to see any attack path, and with only that instant of a chill, it seemingly was as fleeting as smoke and fire. There was no way to defend. The whip shadows surrounded Lin Yingmei's extreme chilliness that passed through skin and sunk into bone, organ and nerve. This is dark rank? Lin Yingmei grit her teeth. She yelled. Before the Arctic Star Serpent Spear could slash, instantly, the whip's smoke and fire already intercepted her counterattack. Several streams of cold wind interwove and swam past Lin Yingmei's body. A sort of extreme chill entered her soul, making the girl feel her whole body was incapable of budging. Her whole body's consciousness and movements immediately slowed. Huyan Shuang smiled. The smoke and fire suddenly blossomed in Lin Yingmei's surroundings. Lin Yingmei was hardly flustered. Her divine intent moved, crying frost. A white, winged beast suddenly appeared under Lin Yingmei. It possessed a psychic connection with its mistress, those light wings spreading like a heavenly canopy to shield her within. The chilly white light blocked everyone's lines of sight. And suddenly at this moment, prestige star Huyan Shuang's icy voice pierced the air. Dark rank technique. Firework turning into cold. The chilly fireworks on Lin Yingmei's body blossomed. A ripping sound agitated the ear, very unbearable, as countless whip shadows became blossoming fireworks, drawing an absolutely beautiful stifling scene in the air. Xie Chang'an was delighted. Huyan Shuang exhaled. Suddenly cold light pierced through. The prestige star did not anticipate this, and she was run through, her body actually sent flying 100 meters. The cold fireworks dispersed and Lin Yingmei slowly appeared. Although she had some cuts, her expression also made people feel a stifling beauty of indifference. Snow-walking frost-eye beast? Huyan Shuang spotted the star beast. Somewhat angry. Truly, your servant was careless. Huyan Shuang flipped over, and a piebald appeared that she sat upon. This was her snow-kicking ebony piebald. The two faced each other in midair, their star beasts releasing chills and frost, bits of ice sprinkling across the sky. With a sudden whoosh, they attacked each other. That is, out of the corner of Wu Xinjia's eye, she suddenly spotted something far away. With an abrupt and bewildered cry, her expression slightly changed. And at the same time, Xie Chang'an lowered his head and also spotted it, a young woman wholly clad in armor flowing with golden light. No, perhaps a little girl of 8 or 9 years old, approximately. Held in her hand was a gigantic 100-kilogram wolf-toothed mace that was currently rushing in their direction. On the roofs, she made leaps that were nearly dazzling, just like a hurricane. Wherever she passed, the buildings collapsed. She truly was thunder and lightning. Yingmei, careful. Shuang'er, look out. Wu Xinjia and Xie Chang'an blurted at the same time. The two great Five Tigers star generals were currently battling on their star beasts. Nevertheless, the pair heard their shouts. Elder sister has come. Little sisters, eat elder sister's mace. Just as they hesitated, the air suddenly ripped to shreds. A frightening roar of wind came, accompanied by mischievous laughter, and a powerful force pressed down on them. Lin Yingmei and Huyan Shuang for the first time retreated, and after this, the earth rumbled as a hole several dozen meters deep was smashed into it. A petite and cute little lowly leisurely holding 1,000 caddies wolf-toothed mace appeared before them. Wolf-toothed fire beacon mace? Fierce star fiery thunderbolt Qin Ming. The expressions of both Lin Yingmei and Huyan Shuang sunk at the same time, staring at the newcomer while in shock and still on guard. The little lowly wore a happy expression. Qin Mingyue and Jin Xiongyu had not followed Qingxi to the 7th-floor stupa pagoda, because she was helping advance to 4-star destined weapon. The pair had continuously searched for materials in the Buddha kingdom. However, The 7-floor stupa pagoda's terrifying battle nevertheless drew them over. Qin Mingyue could sense from very far away the imposing auras of the majestic star and prestige star. Suddenly, without saying anything, she raised the wolf-toothed fire beacon mace. Let alone that the little lowly's body was soft, she nevertheless fiercely faced 2 great 5-tiger generals, and gave rise to maximum excitement. The reason was very simple. Fierce star fiery thunderbolt Qin Ming was also one of Maiden Mountain's 5-tiger generals. Xie Chang'an's expression became exceptionally ugly. He was practically incapable of believing the fact in front of him. 3 of the great 5-tiger generals were fighting at the same time. Across the past star duels, this was unheard of before the 4th phase finished. Of course, Xie Chang'an being so unsightly was not only because of Qin Ming's 5-tiger status. The important thing was that inside Evil Smiting Hall, he and Huyan Shuang had fought with her over the snow-kicking ebony piebald. He feared that with Qin Ming's personality, she absolutely hated them to death. Originally, a turn of events that was slightly bad was now even worse. Huyan Shuang also felt this, and her expression was very cold. "Little sister, this time, you will give me back my horse." Boom. Thief Star Shi Yuan looked at Su Xing's expression slowly turn from pain to tranquility. Her heart instantly relaxed. Originally, she honestly was somewhat anxious. Hearing the fighting outside turn increasingly fierce, Shi Yuan did not know just what was going on. But she only hoped that the elder sisters could hold on for just a while longer. In the void, Su Xing saw that colored glass world dissolve, and the pagoda was already now in front of him. Haha. Chao Gai's unfathomable laugh faded. Unknown if it was praise for Su Xing seeing through her illusion, or if there was even more troublesome schadenfreude awaiting for him. The meditative mind lotus flower is much more challenging than this one's 3rd calamity. Until when can those girls help keep supporting you? Su Xing said nothing, silently flying onto the pagoda. The top of the pagoda had an identical 5 dragons colored glass lamp. This was the true body of the 5 dragons colored glass lamp. Su Xing began to sit in meditation, and the 5 silvery dragons wound around Su Xing's body. Immediately, an unprecedented light and energy flowed past Su Xing's whole body. These lights and energy of the Buddhist great ways were just like water beginning to irrigate the lotus seed inside his sea of consciousness. Su Xing was pleasantly surprised to sense that the utterly motionless meditative mind lotus seed in his sea of consciousness currently was showing signs of blooming. Su Xing began to continuously suck in this limitless light, and then transforming into nourishment for the seed. Furthermore, this course of events was much simpler than he had thought, yet even more endless. You star generals truly are courting death. Do not think that you can be unbridled with Maiden Mountain's protection. Era the furiously yelled. His Vajra Dharma characteristics were like gods and Buddhas, able to support both heaven and earth, his 4 limbs extraordinary in strength. Fighting him was skillful star wanderer Yan Qing. Yan Yizhen possessed the yin-yang carps, raising her realm already to an extreme that supervoid cultivators needed to be cautious. Facing this sort of Buddhist cultivator of surly and unreasoning physical body, if it was not Yan Yizhen, no one at the current phase was capable of contending. Aratha was resentful he was being entangled by Yan Yizhen. Seeing the endless light apparently being sucked away, Aratha's heart was distressed. He opened his mouth, no longer holding back, spitting out a lotus flower. This lotus flower bloomed, itself shooting out many lotus seeds. These lotus seeds immediately turned into several dozen identical Aratha doppelgangers. This was the great ability of the Vajra Dharma characteristics, Vajra lotus flower incarnation body. Although it was impossible for any one of them to possess superb cultivation like Aratha's real body, each of them were not to be underestimated. Wuxia and the others' plan to suppress the 2 supervoid cultivators with numbers was suddenly met with a challenge. Hey! Yan Yizhen's yin-yang Pisces fist suddenly exerted force. The lights of cold and warmth crisscrossed. The maid lightly moved, jumping to the side of one of the Aratha incarnations in an instant. The maid's pupils simultaneously flashed with the light of yin and yang. Upon closer inspection, her eyes were like a lake, the yin-yang carps seemingly swimming in her eyes. Extreme realm, Vajra's demon-felling fist. 2. All of the air of the incarnations pounced the instant Yan Yizhen punched that air of the incarnation. The girl moved, inconceivably chopping into his chest. Her left hand suddenly stuck into his neck, mercilessly squeezing. Even if he had Dharma's unbreaking body for protection, that throat was directly torn apart. As if she was throwing away trash, Yan Yizhen tossed that air of the incarnation that was more than 200 kilograms far away. The incarnation died, instantly turning into a withered lotus seed. Aratha was furious. Each time his incarnations were harmed, that would also make him suffer losses. His divine intent moved, and the other Aratha incarnations acted as if they had not seen. All of them launched an attack at Yan Yizhen together. The Dharma sect's most powerful boxing technique pressed down. Practically like a mountain. Yan Yizhen's crimson pupils still were indifferent. In a flash, she left behind an afterimage of yin and yang in the air. The air of the incarnations waved their fists, the movements fine and fierce. It was very difficult to imagine their boorish appearances could attack with movements this fine yet so dangerous. Powerful pressure overflowed from those fists, carving the air with an incessant chi-chi sound, displaying the extraordinary strength of these Aratha incarnations. Yan Yizhen's body seemed to lose its weight. Under the siege of these Aratha incarnations, she swam about, not caring how tight the attacks were. She always would find a gap in the attacks, timely dodging away. Those body techniques were swifter wind, but speed clearly was not the goal Yan Yizhen wanted to pursue. After all, Aratha was a super void cultivator. How could he be so easy to face? Yan Yizhen's expansive boxing did not bring much menace at all. Increasingly dodging the Aratha incarnations had bound the skillful star, so she was unable to display her boxing technique. Go! Tang Lianxin pointed. The great void golden lotus transformed into hundreds of arrows that fell like rain. However, an earthly star's destined weapon amounted to barely anything to a supervoid cultivator. Where did this star general come from to dare be unbridled in front of poor monk? An Aratha incarnation dashed straight to Tang Lianxin's front, his fists grabbing at the girl. Tang Lianxin raised the astral tool falling star hairpin. A beam of gorgeous light shot out. Slap. The Aratha incarnation slapped it, as if he was swatting a fly, shattering that astral tool. Die. Aratha grabbed. But before he could get close, he was torn to shreds by an azure dragon. The one who used the star magic was Gongsun Huang. Thank you. Tang Lianxin softly expressed her gratitude. Gongsun Huang's gaze again returned to Great Master Still Void, activating a star magic to help alleviate the burden of confronting a super void cultivator. Seeing several Aratha incarnations already give rise to menace, Yan Yizhen's eyes flashed cold light. Suddenly, her figure became countless afterimages. In the instant the Aratha incarnations threw themselves at her, she already had lowered her body and stuck close to the ground, one leg sweeping like a whirlwind across the surroundings in a big circle. The fierce power added onto the skillful star's extreme realm body, and martial arts was like a hurricane, jolting those Aratha incarnations to the ground. Suddenly, a body slammed into something. Her short hair fluttering, a gorgeous light flashing past her pupils. Yan Yizhen's palms and a leg stuck in different directions, immediately sending 3 rushing Aratha incarnations flying violently away. Yan Yizhen's hands were like blades, hundreds of times sharper than sword or spear. Because her strength was beyond tyrannical, the force of the wind pressure that arose filled Yan Yizhen's attacks. Even that Vajra-strengthened body could not withstand a single blow. The Aratha incarnations that were sent flying raised blood splatters in the air. Clearly visible depressions appeared on each of their bodies. Bang! Those 3 Aratha incarnations violently slammed on the ground, coughing blood from their mouths. They trembled from head to toe, still attempting to stand and fight, but the moment they stood, their bones immediately broke, suddenly laying them on the ground. Yan Yizhen's figure was like a sea swallow piercing through a hurricane, flying nimbly around. The other Aratha incarnations were aghast, their attacks even more vicious. The cold and warm lights in her eyes were even more bright. Yan Yizhen had completely transformed into a most terrible killing tool. So long as she entered combat, Yan Yizhen never had a thought of contempt. The air was torn apart by countless trails of wind pressure. All of the Era the incarnations suddenly withdrew simultaneously brandishing a fist. Each of their punches brought a powerful force. Combined together, this unexpectedly was somewhat frightening in aggression. The fingers of her hand ripped the air to shreds. These Era the incarnations did not know what fear was, already rushing forth. Although the rush of these Era the incarnations was not as sharp as the original, the frightening air of their coordination made use of the pressure from their powerful charge. Aratha's eyes glinted, revealing an evil grin. Yan Yizhen's figure flashed. She faded from their encirclement. All of the aggression dissolved broken in an instant, the wind stopping its flow. The Era the incarnations that lost sight of their target were a bit stunned, but they would be even more terrified in a moment. A chill flashed past Yan Yizhen's eyes. One palm swatted at them, and a powerful force bubbled forth. The vanished wind suddenly gusted, following her hand and unexpectedly turning into a hurricane. Yan Yizhen rose towards the sky, her speed extremely quick, as if she had broken free of the limits of her body. The remaining Era the incarnations brandished their fists to block, but they merely found that this was the vestige of a phantom, that they were already too late. A frightening pressure instantly came from the sky. All of the Era the incarnations suddenly lifted their heads. Yan Yizhen's silhouette separated, inconceivably appearing in front of all of the Era the incarnations. The yin-yang fists exploded with cold light, surged with raging flame, rolling as she continuously brandished them. All of the Era the incarnations were caught in Yan Yizhen's attack this time. A terrifying power fiercer than flame, colder than ice instantly pressed on their heads. Upon contact with their bodies, a violent explosion happened at the same time. The air waves the explosion created pushed in all directions. Amidst it all, from time to time came the muffled grunts of the Era the incarnations. Under an attack of such concentrated power, to think of escape was clearly an incomparable luxury. But in the blink of an eye, all of the Era the incarnations became withered seeds and died. Extreme Realm, Swallowflash Yin-Yang Samsara. Era the stared blankly. Moreover, Wuxia and Gongsun Huang had stalled Great Master Still Void. As Buddha Kingdom's peak Great Master, his cultivation and methods clearly were superior to Aratha's. Originally, when contending against Star Generals, Great Master Still Void appeared disapproving, even contemptuous. But Wuxia and the White Tiger Unicorn Tiger coordinated, and with the number 1 in magic energy Gongsun Huang's star magic, regardless of whether it was close combat or magic weapons, Great Master Still Void completely lacked means, even if he had the superb Super Void middle stage cultivation. However, he was a Buddhist cultivator after all. His magic energy was borderless, but without good magic weapons he was no good. Roar! The white and black unicorn tiger pounced. Great Master Still Void attacked with the Chan staff, striking back the white and black unicorn tiger. At this time, he just so happened to hear Aratha's shout. Great Master Still Void. This Star General is very formidable. Your servant asks Great Master to not hold back. Aratha's ability incarnations were shocked and unnerved seeing Yan Yizhen. In the end, the Vajra Dharma characteristics manifested an Azura truth body, holding every sort of heavenly weapon for battle. Great Master Still Void was without choice. Chanting, he put his hands together and shouted, "Long may you live." 3. After he finished, Great Master Still Void flipped his hand and struck at Wuxia. Come to think of it, that was odd. That palm appeared to be ordinary and nondescript. Yet at the same time he attacked, it was like Mount Tai bearing down on her. Wuxia felt a heavy pressure. That palm was like a weightless world about to suck her in. The white and black unicorn tiger fiercely pounced. Little White, quickly come back. Wuxia felt things were far from reassuring. That palm directly swatted the white and black unicorn tiger into a dying state. And at the same time, Great Master Still Void again swung his palm, attacking Gongsun Huang. Before his palm arrived, an imposing air came first. Wuxia held the noble frost demonic lotus, and advanced for direct confrontation. Great Master Still Void smiled. The power of his palm was seemingly universe overturning, and Wuxia immediately felt the vitality of her whole body be drained away. Such a powerful super void cultivator. Life-returning magic hands. When Ensuan saw this, her hand gestured. The good fortune beast appeared, spitting a beam of green light. Under that green light, the child and mother-linked heart's needles separated and stuck into Wuxia and the others' hearts. An endlessly surging spiritual power suddenly entered their limbs and bones. Rip. Wuxia slashed apart the long may you live in a spurt of energy. How could this be? A line of blood appeared on Great Master Stillvoid's hand. Hey. Blood-splashing Mandarin duck. Just as he was thinking, Wuxia's second use of the dark rank technique already approached. Buddhism is without bounds. Great Master Stillvoid held the Chan staff, blocking Wuxia's counterattack. Great Master Stillvoid was somewhat unsightly. Again he patted his forehead, and 12 void spirit Sarira emerged. Suddenly, with a Buddhist call, the sky immediately filled with a drizzling rain of light. Great Master Stillvoid sat on a lotus platform. The 12 Sarira became 12 celestials that simultaneously appeared, becoming a heavenly canopy. Wuxia and the others wanted to run, but they basically had no way of dodging, trapping Wuxia and the others inside. With things having reached this point, Great Master Stillvoid could only trap them for now. This 12 Sarira was Great Master Stillvoid's life-cast magic weapon. It could use a void to trap people. It was perhaps a bit difficult confronting a star general, but to trap them for a while was possible. In the blink of an eye, Wuxia, Gongsun Huang, Tang Lianxin and Ensuan were trapped. When Great Master Stillvoid saw that Aretha was still entangled with the skillful star, he was secretly shocked. Without hesitation, he was about to charge into the 5 dragons-colored glass lamp. He had only flew a dozen steps when he suddenly felt the mountains rock and the sky tear. What is going on? Great Master Stillvoid was greatly astonished, only feeling that the magic energy in his whole body was being drained. He hastily protected his mind, sealing the outward leak of magic energy. Suddenly, a creaky cracking sound came from the air. Turning his head to look, Great Master Stillvoid immediately was about to vomit blood. The 12 Sarira void was like a broken egg. That terrifying quaking exploded out from within. The enormous rumbling shook the entire central celestial. The 12 Sarira unexpectedly dispersed with a bang. Great Master Stillvoid's mind entirely broke, sustaining damage along with the life-cast magic weapon. Immediately he beckoned with his head, calling back the Sarira. The void shattered, and Wuxia and the others appeared. Among them, an exceedingly refined little loli that had always never drawn his attention now had brightly lit pupils, her voice loudly calling. That imposing aura jolting heaven and earth was released from her body. How is this possible? Great Master Stillvoid was pale, incapable of believing that his supervoid life-cast magic weapon would unexpectedly break. This naturally was Gongsun Huang's dark rank star magic, half-destroyed landscape. The shaking of the world also jolted the others of the central celestial into shouting. Wu Xinjia's expression slightly changed, and a violently angry shout again called her back to reality. Fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue's surprise arrival made the originally slightly subtle shape become increasingly more subtle. Lin Yingmei already finished preparations for combat against 2-5 tigers. How could she have anticipated that she would merely glance at Lin Yingmei, then launch an attack on Huyan Shuang? Prestige star, where are you running? Elder sister truly is annoying. Huyan Shuang dodged. Qin Mingyue ceased. Just as Huyan Shuang was about to counterattack, a sudden change occurred. Another elaborately dressed woman appeared. Seeing her appearance was also beautiful, her hand holding a star weapon. She was none other than Jin Xiongyu. Just what is going on in this Buddha kingdom? Wu Xinjie could not fathom this. Why would there be so many star general sisters? What now to obstruct Mingyue? Qin Mingchu was annoyed, the wolf-toothed fire beacon mace in her hand restless. Kill Lin Chong. Jin Xiongyu's words were very surprising. Lin Yingmei was expressionless. Don't wanna. Qin Mingyue astonishingly declined. Humeichem. Huyan Shuang stole Mingyue's star beast. Don't wanna must defeat her. Qin Mingyue said and again revolted. But, Jin Xiongyu still wanted to say something, but Qin Mingyue already was determined to take down Huyan Zhua. When Wu Xinjie saw that things were increasingly strange, she immediately hinted to Lin Yingmei. Lin Yingmei no longer hesitated, and she soared upwards. Instantly she attacked Xie Chang'an. Damn it. Xie Chang'an greatly changed. Wu Xinjie at this time simultaneously made a move. Seizing Silver Blade, she fired bullets. Where and how could Xie Chang'an have run? When Huyan Shuang saw this, she returned to protect, catching Lin Yingmei's spear. Without distinguishing rank with elder sister, this truly makes your servant feel regret. Your servant too. Lin Yingmei swept back her spear. Little sister, watch this mace. Qin Mingyue swung her mace. Huyan Shuang only felt that 3 of the 5 tiger generals once again battling only would make someone become the fisherman that snatched the snipe and clam. Coldly grunting, she glanced at Xie Chang'an. Each of them had tacit understanding, and they immediately used the jade pendant to escape. Infuriating me to death, they ran again. Fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue indignantly smashed the ground to bits. Lin Yingmei and Wu Xinji looked at her at the same time. Majestic star Lin Chong, now it is our turn. Qin Mingyue giggled, again turning her attacks to Lin Yingmei. The excitable little loli did not need any reply, for she immediately launched an attack. Lin Yingmei sneered, also full of interest towards this 5 tigers' little sister. The spear created a rolling, extreme cold. Wherever it passed, the ground seemed to freeze. Countless icicles seemed to grow like a forest below fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue's feet, full of a malevolent cold light. An exclamation. Formidable monks had already hid far away, not daring at all to be at this place. Because of her body's high-speed charge being pulled into a straight line, Qin Mingyue's body swayed. She concentrated the power of her whole body, ruthlessly pounding towards Lin Yingmei. Before the wolf-toothed mace arrived, a frantically bubbling cold air, and a suddenly jutting icicle already were in her face. The cold wind dispersed in 2 directions, and a powerful air pressure made the air circulate with it, as if they were in a world of ice and snow. Lin Yingmei noticed the frightening might of this little sister's wolf-toothed mace. Her body speedily withdrew, as if there was something pushing her. Instantly, Lin Yingmei's entire body slid rapidly in the opposite direction. Instantly, she already surpassed Qin Mingyue's attack speed, and furthermore, she hardly stopped, continuously moving backwards, quickly leaving the combat area. Lin Yingmei's speed was certainly not any slower than fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue. Immediately, the girl's powerful straight-line attack fell on nothing. Fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue instantly reacted, directly twisting to turn in that direction, mercilessly smashing her strength upon that platform. Bang! There was a massive explosion, as if an earthquake arose. The 4 zhang in the range around the point on the ground that fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue's attacked made massive undulations. The ground seemed to have been shaken to pieces, countless stone fragments flying up from the ground. Countless fires sprouted from the ground, close to engulfing the entire area, obstructing Lin Yingmei's retreat. This was fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue's fire beacon attack. The powerful might made Lin Yingmei recognize that under the cuteness of the little loli in front of her was an ice-cold demeanor. She nevertheless smiled. Similarly, her spear stabbed, borrowing the powerful impact shaking the ground. Lin Yingmei's body was like a cannonball. Her whole body's skin seemed to become ice and snow. She quickly advanced through the ice forest, instantly shattering those seemingly sharp fire thorns. Her frightening speed already pulled a trail of afterimages behind her, several flashes already breaking through the layers of barriers to approach fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue. Fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue laughed, as if she was waiting for Lin Yingmei. The spear swept. Like the sound of glass cracking. The ground was a deathly stillness. Fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue made countless fire beacon thorns to instantly turn the ice fragments to dust. The pair's attacks also ended spontaneously. She did not expect that the Lin Yingmei who had obtained the key moment would be surprisingly tyrannical. That attack just now made fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue slightly astonished. She completely did not doubt that if she stopped, the next instant, Lin Yingmei's attack would certainly beat her into dust. An interesting elder sister. Fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue still smiled. Lin Yingmei very clearly did not have that much patience. With an ice-cold shout, her body in the haze seemed to flicker several times. At the same time, Lin Yingmei's speed surprisingly increased again. Even if she was already a completely blurry figure, Several flashes continuously launched against fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue stifled her attack. As the most powerful martial general, in any case, she knew this point. To not give the enemy the chance to breathe. Attacking the enemy's weak point had always been war's first rule. As far as this point was concerned, the majestic star that had already thoroughly ingrained her combat tendencies into her bones naturally would not forget. Instantly her body spun. Lin Yingmei's legs already borrowed the power of her spin to directly step onto fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue's calf. Powerful strength instantly exploded. It was very difficult to imagine that Lin Yingmei already combined speed and strength into a kind of state of perfection. However, it was very apparent that fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue already had no chance to go investigate in detail. Her entire body was lifted by the strength of Lin Yingmei's leg. She completely left the ground, suddenly flying high. Fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue was absolutely not the sort of character that could be trampled on. When her body was lifted into the air, she made a sluggish spin in midair to slightly look down. Her shoulders shuddered, and instantly she seemed to disappear. Immediately, a crisp noise rang in the air. The Lin Yingmei about to strike with all her might was taken aback. As if she was struck by lightning, the girl's body was halfway in a shiver when unexpectedly, she came into a brief standstill. In practically the blink of an eye, Lin Yingmei quickly switched to defense. Fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue's arms crisscrossed continuously in attack, the wolf-toothed fire beacon mace brandishing terrifying might. Speed and power combined was that kind of terror. From an outside perspective, the appearance of an arm could not be clearly seen at all. Only continuous papa sounds like sprinkling beans in the night rang, and along with them came countless attacks on Lin Yingmei's spear that nearly perfectly blocked. Elder sister is formidable. Qin Mingyue smiled. The fiery thunderbolt flashed by. Lin Yingmei violently spun where she stood. She already was like a fire arrow charging into the sky, borrowing the suspension ability of her bodice. Instantly, she already arrived at Qin Mingyue's side. Her body fiercely spun, and countless spear shadows flew out ruthlessly from her, mercilessly stabbing Qin Mingyue's body. The immense strength from the majestic star's attack was transmitted outwards, making everyone shocked. Lin Yingmei's attack was displayed to its limit. Qin Mingyue's eyes flashed with an irascible cold light. In that concentrated attack, she unexpectedly saw an opening. Suddenly, she seized Lin Yingmei's ankle, and with a mighty shout, she swung Lin Yingmei down with all her might. The immense inertia made the bones of both parties let out intense groans. The sound of wind was gentle. Before Lin Yingmei smashed into the ground, she already nimbly landed. Her legs tread on cold frost, her hand holding the cold spear. Qin Mingyue began to pant, dejectedly saying, "Can't defeat elder sister." Ah, Qin Ming, can only merely achieve this degree? Lin Yingmei held the spear with one hand. Her spear tip pointed at Qin Mingyue, a speck of snow, bringing with it slight provocation. Qin Mingyue giggled, showing a canine tooth. The wolf-toothed fire beacon mace's fire dragon coiled. The surrounding ice and snow completely evaporated. The cold of Lin Yingmei's blizzard and the heat of Qin Mingyue's fire beacon mutually opposed, forming a completely contrasting scene. Little sister, watch this mace. The wolf-toothed fire beacon mace pounded. The giant wolf-toothed mace stirred everything into a flurry. Lin Yingmei raised her spear to forge ahead, the extreme ice and fire suddenly producing a suffocating impact. Wu Xinjie retreated several steps, withdrawing to a safe range. Her furrowed brows then glanced at the Jin Qiongyu assuming a hostile and wary stance. Far away, on a tower, Huang Futianyi struck his palm, overlooking the battle between the two, his whole body warm then cold. He exclaimed, "So incredible, with this sort of powerful martial four-star general present, we basically do not have a chance of victory, right Ruoxue?" Evil star faceless Jiao Ruoxue wore a mask that obscured her expression, but her eyes leaked a graveness that was more or less the same as what Huang Futianyi thought. Although that fourth phase still has that variable of defeating a heavenly star at the critical moment, that chance is too hazy. Huang Futianyi held his chin. Watching the two fight so fiercely, his heart was restless. It was rare to encounter a star duel between 5 tiger generals. If both sides were injured, that would actually allow him to take the advantage. However, now it seemed this sort of thing would be very unlikely to occur. Huang Futiani did not wish to watch so idly. He always felt not doing anything for this sort of once-in-a-blue-moon opportunity was too pitiful. Young master, do you still wish to face Lin Chong? Jiao Ruoxue felt her master was unavoidably too bold. Oh, Huang Futiani suddenly exclaimed. The majestic star and the purple thunder monster signed a contract. Everyone knows that. But not having seen him for so long, even with 2 5 tiger generals appearing, is he still hiding someplace? Putting his own star general out like this, it is too strange? Perhaps he has not come here yet. Faceless Jiao Ting answered. Not here, then where would he be? It cannot be possible that he allowed Lin Chong to come to the Buddha kingdom alone? Huang Futiani asked. Perhaps he has gone to the 7th-floor stupa pagoda. Jiao Ruoxue leisurely said. Could it be you are not allowed to bring a star general into the 7th-floor stupa pagoda? Huang Futiani pondered. The pair's battle was already awfully busy, increasingly white-hot, and even Huang Futiani himself was very excited. Jiao Ruoxue followed her master's thinking. Regardless of whatever this man wanted to do, actually making a move against the majestic star was fine as was leaving this place. So long as it was his decision. Evil Star Faceless would not speak even half a word at all. The other side of shamelessness was cunning. Jiao Ruoxue did not have reason to not believe her cunning star master. If this is the case, ha 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 ha. Huang Futiani face-bombed and howled with laughter. His blood was increasingly boiling, somewhat difficult to control. Young master. Ha 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 ha, truly the heavens are helping me. On Huang Futiani's face reappeared the cunning that Jiao Ruoxue was familiar with. Clearly he had an idea. What do you mean? Ruoxue, prepare to go kill this majestic star and knowledge star. I will take this opportunity dash. Huang Futiani grinned. The muscles of his whole body instantly swelled. The Buddhist symbol was clearly visible on his skin. The skin that was visible to the outside manifested a flowing, gold luster, with golden dragons appearing. These golden dragon lines seemed to come alive. On Aratha's sturdy body, they contorted like hills, showing an extremely frightening scene. His 6 arms directly surpassed all bladed weapons. Aratha fiercely raised a fist, as if he had seized the world in his hand. Dharma Wan technique with this sort of ability, no wonder Aratha could call himself one of the mighty 6 ancestors. His eyes brimmed with a Buddha-like sternness. Aratha's attack carried a heaven and earth flooding solemnity that showered down. His 6 arms or fists, or blades or palms or staffs or wheels of eternal life, or mark of fearlessness vaguely had a sort of undefeatable divine might. Yanqing Daiyu. Such a powerful imposing air would have already completely subdued any other star cultivator, rendering them powerless to resist, but Yan Yizhen's face did not show the least bit of astonishment. On the contrary, there was a slight mocking indifference. His heart was slightly astonished. Aratha gave rise to odd indignations when he saw Yan Yizhen's aloof manner. But at this time, there already was no chance to turn back. It already happened in a sudden moment. The skillful star maid's flexible body carried a whistling wind that filled the skies, leaping over with an incomparably wild leap. Instantly, she appeared in front of him. Her 2 palms suddenly were placed upon his fists that were larger than weapons. The yin-yang carps swam, and the light in her palms extended 100 zhang. The 2 types of powers of cold and warmth suddenly transmitted into his bones. Aratha was incomparably surprised and froze. Unexpectedly, he discovered his own Wan technique's powers had been restrained. Impossible. Glancing in terror, what appeared in Aratha's eyes now was a pair of blood-red eyes. Indifferent enough to make this Buddha Kingdom 6 ancestor, this supervoid cultivator's heart go cold. Aratha's heart rose with the premonition of danger, but it seemed the premonition was not as fast as Yan Yizhen's speed. The former was still slow a step. In the cracks of her fingers peeked out twisting auras of blue and red. Yan Yizhen's low shout was already violently transmitted outwards. Hey! An abrupt forceful pull stopped Aratha in the air. Yan Yizhen's palm technique was wild, dazzling and glaring. Era mustered all his strength to counterattack, but he could never find Yan Yizhen's attack. Each time a palm struck, a Buddhist mark on Aratha's flesh would immediately disintegrate. Era was shocked to feel his own Dharma wand technique that was powerful in offense and defense seemed to become a sort of futile and comical illusion in the face of the skillful star's palm technique. This was the strength of a legendary fiend star? He only heard the unimaginable sounds of Yan Yizhen's palm technique impacting his body, as if each palm was full of a rhythmic feeling. From an outsider's perspective, Yan Yizhen did not seem to be palm striking. Rather, it was more like she was playing the guzheng. How could the Era that had been firmly suppressed be so willing? His 3 heads and 6 arms simultaneously fanned out. Yet he found he could not muster the slightest bit of strength. Hey! As if she set down a brush, Yan Yizhen's palms came together. Star energy pierced through Aratha's chest, sending this Buddhist Vajra flying. And at the same time, the Azura transformation completely collapsed. Snapped bowstring magnolia lily ballad. 2 dark rank palm technique Great Master Still Void's whole body was a bright void, manifesting 9 empty mountain white lotuses. These lotuses bloomed and closed, releasing white and black light, making Great Master Still Void appear to be in a mist, unclear. This was the powerful 9 marked white lotuses, 3 power of the empty mountain secret etc. The white lotuses protected his body, not inferior at all compared to the Azure Dragon territory's powerful defensive prehistoric spirit treasures. If it was any other Azure Dragon territory cultivator or such, Great Master Still Void practically was certain to not lose. But Great Master Still Void at this time confronted a Star General. Furthermore, she was a top-notch Star General. The result was completely different. The Azure Dragon's light rays wandered one after another, and struck the empty mountain white lotuses. Even if the white lotuses bloomed any larger, they could not bear this endless attack. Without even a moment, the white lotuses withered in succession. The white light was increasingly dim. Great Master Still Void's expression was considerably ugly, nevertheless, he had no way to sense even the slightest gap. The cool and elegant pilgrim currently was unstoppably suppressing him into having no room to breathe. This is a Star General of Maiden Mountain? Great Master Still Void brandished his staff. Cold light split, and the Chan staff magic weapon broke in 2 with a snap. This is a Star General of Maiden Mountain? Great Master Still Void's complexion changed. Cloud wandering Azure Dragon turn. Gong Sun Huang suddenly, unexpectedly activating star magic again. She raised the multicolored sword, the Azure Dragon radiating light, immediately slamming into Great Master Still Void. The 9 marks lotus flower comparable to prehistoric spirit treasures had fallen. This is a Star General of Maiden Mountain? Great Master Still Void was shaken. The black noble frost demonic lotus suddenly wound around beneath his eyelids. Not good. Wuxia had drew near his front, suddenly raising her sword and swinging, the cold light splitting apart the void. Rip. The white lotuses all withered. Great Master Still Void's powerful ability finally broke. A giant hole opened in the Great Master's gut. Noble Frost demonic lotus directly slashed through, and a wound deep enough to reveal bone nearly cut Great Master Still Void in 2. Great Master Still Void took 100 steps back, vomiting blood. Shocked to death, at this time he sensed that Era had been pounded into a pulp by Yan Yizhen. As 2 of Buddha Kingdom's ancestors, for them to surprisingly retreat step by step in defeat, Great Master Still Void simply was incapable of believing this. This is a Star General of Maiden Mountain. Spiritual aura distribution. Ansuan activated her magic, and spiritual power gradually filled. Wuxia seized this chance to arrive in a single step, leaping and slashing. Just as she was about to slay Great Master Still Void, a 7-tiered lotus platform rapidly flew over. The lotus platform released multicolored light that blocked Wuxia's attack. The lotus platform covered her. Wuxia nimbly flashed past, instantly moving back. The realm of non-obstruction of phenomena, the realm of non-obstruction of principle, the realm of non-obstruction between principle and phenomena, the realm of non-obstruction between phenomena. All living things have the wisdom and virtue of the thus come one. Yet because of their idle thoughts and attachments, they fail to realize it. 5. A clear Buddhist chanting approached, stepping on auspicious light. The seven-tiered lotus platform also forced Yin Yizhen away. Afterwards, it flew back, and an extremely aged old man walked slowly out. Benefactors, there is no need to treat my Buddha's holy item with such attachment, Amit Ba. Great Master Shen Hui kindly smiled. Supervoid middle stage, another has come to court death. Wuxia sneered. The meditative mind lotus seed steadily absorbed the radiance of the 5 dragons' colored glass lamp. The lotus seed germinated in his ocean of consciousness, about to bud, but afterwards, whatever which way Su Xing irrigated that Buddhist light onto the lotus seed, the meditative mind lotus seed merely floated in the light, no longer with any sign of growth. Why do I feel something's missing? After experiencing Chao Gai's third calamity, Su Xing already made himself enter the world as an illusion realm. According to reason, he was already approaching the supreme great way of Buddhism, but whether or not he lacked something, the meditative mind lotus seed stirred from beginning to end, yet was incapable of breaking free of its shackles. The meditative mind lotus seed was Buddhism's supreme secret treasure, a collection of boundless dharma. Blooming this lotus would make the wielder akin to Buddha. Su Xing thought of the requirements pertaining to the meditative mind lotus seed. In actuality, it was very simple, only 6 characters. No thought, no marks, no abidance. 6. These 6 characters were Buddhism's highest realm. The so-called no thought was to be free of false thought, to stay with all distinctive characteristics, to leave all distinctive characteristics, namely this was no marks. No abidance represented the meaning of avoiding mental constructs in daily life, non-abidance. Buddhism inherently lacked nature, inherently lacked cause, inherently lacked abidance, following karma. Su Xing's mind had already reached the still-as-waters realm. No thought naturally was not a problem. The 5 dragons' colored glass lamp's endless light was no marks, and this boundless dharma was the no abidance. Blooming this meditative mind lotus seed required one to possess the mind of no thought, the magic energy of no marks, and boundless dharma. This dharma was labeled the genuine supreme great way of the 3,000 sects of Buddhism. Su Xing had crammed on a great deal of dharma, heard every sort of scripture in the third calamity. Yet how could he have foreseen that the meditative mind lotus flower would be powerful beyond his imagination? Buddhism. The Buddhism that poured into the meditative mind lotus flower was enough for it to fully flower. Sensing an imminent danger on the outside, Su Xing endlessly sent dharma into the lotus seed, sparing no effort. The 5 dragons' colored glass lamp made a loud dragon roar, the light glowing bright. The 7-floor stupa pagoda manifested a budding lotus flower, and all Buddhist disciples prostrated in worship. Wu Xinjie lifted her gaze, revealing a mysterious smile. It seems the meditative mind lotus seed's dharma is still insufficient. Then the 10,000 Buddhas ought to be enough. Two powerful figures battled back and forth without any pause. Even the eye was too late to keep up with their speed. The next 40 or so consecutive exchanges were too much for the eyes to take in. Fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue's giant wolf-toothed mace was like an iron rampart that blocked Lin Yingmei's overwhelming attack. Though the lowly's body was small, her strength was nevertheless ample. Little sister, watch this mace. Fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue in her excitement had even called the ranked 5th Lin Cheng a little sister. Lin Yingmei was indifferent. Her leg strength was astonishing, bounding 100 chi with a single leap. With ice-cold determination, her spear stabbed down, and 100 threads of spear-killing intent were slashed out at nearly the same time, descending like a torrential downpour. The wolf teeth of the wolf-toothed fire beacon mace burst forth with 100 wisps of wolf smoke. The ground beneath them was destroyed, treated like being curd in its destruction, ravaged to pieces. Wind, thunder, lightning flash. Wu Xinjie was still watching the spectacle, when that earthly skillful star jade-armed craftsman Jin Xiongyu already was impatient. The 5-star dragon carving hammer, phoenix engraving nail was in hand. A curtain of rain and lightning descended, the speed too fast to see. Hua Shue's pupils glowed. She spat white flames, contesting against Jin Daijian. Wind, thunder, lightning flash, dark rank magic. The thunder net that covered the sky blew the place Wuxia was standing on to bits. Wuxia slowly sighted, breaking free of the thunder net. A 5-star destined star weapon, worthy of jade-armed craftsman Jin Daijian. Humph. Jin Qiongyu again pounded the dragon-carving hammer. Although she was not worth a mention in terms of earthly star martial arts or magic, as far as confronting the knowledge star was concerned, Jin Qiongyu would not shrink back. When Lin Yingmei saw that Jin Qiongyu had entangled Wuxia, she slashed back Qin Mingyue. Her figure swayed, leaving behind an afterimage. A chill abruptly pierced her back. Jin Qiongyu was startled, hastily thinking of dodging, but Lin Yingmei's speed honestly was too fast. In practically the blink of an eye, she was already behind her. The Arctic Star Serpent spear thrust out, running through Jin Qiongyu without the slightest hesitation. Lin Chong, release her. Qin Mingyue's wine-red pupils flickered with light. The little girl gave a crisp shout, sitting on a red, winged star beast. The star beast roared, flashing beam of red light. Just as Lin Yingmei was about to deliver the finishing blow, the little lowly fiercely brandished a tyrannical slash. Lin Yingmei retracted her spear to block. The air burned. Fiery thunderbolt clenched her mace and smashed it down. The wolf-toothed fire beacon mace released a fire dragon, spitting out fire and thunder. The world was a complete red, like a heaven-swallowing beast, opening its jaws wide to devour Lin Yingmei. The blizzard of 1,000 meters instantly evaporated. Powerful flames surged like a falling galaxy, engulfing everything, truly despairing. Dark rank technique. Flame swallowing rivers and mountains. 2. The star beast and Qin Mingyue's dark rank became one. This flame swallowing rivers and mountains was far from the ordinary by 100 times. Freezing frost of 9 provinces. The Arctic Star Serpent spear released an ice-cold trail, boldly ripping open a corridor in the middle of these tyrannical flames. The ice and frost's luster rose and beat back the flames. Ah! Qin Mingyue was greatly shocked. Cold light pierced through her armor, sending the little lowly flying with a swing of the spear. At the same time, flame-swallowing rivers and mountains immersed a range of several li and turned everything to ash. Only one person stood proudly among this, her eyes absolutely cold. Lin Yingmei. Her whole body had been scorched by the flames. The indestructible bodies of star generals very quickly healed their wounds, but having received a puncture wound, that process would not be so quick. Lin Yingmei drew in a deep breath. Both Jin Qiongyu and Qin Mingyue were injured. The majestic star grasped her spear, and just as she fluttered for a strike, suddenly, a gust of wind blew by. The Arctic Star Serpent spear swept forth, but it was blocked by a pair of fists. Her eyes dazzled, and the opponent seized the opportunity to grab. Lin Yingmei slightly retreated, soaring and somersaulting. The tip of her foot was like a razor, kicking her opponent's chin with a pa sound, ending her counterattack. A pious mask then appeared before her. Faceless Jiao Ting? Lin Yingmei's brows knit together. Dragon punch. Jiao Ruoshua's fists came together, their figure forming a dragon, using her dark rank boxing technique without any hesitation. A spear tip intercepted. The powerful attack forced Lin Yingmei back continuously several hundred steps. Heaven and earth inverted. Faceless Jiao Ruoshua in the next second then used her second dark rank. Her palms changed non-stop, and Lin Yingmei's spear stuck into air. Watch this sword array. Huang Futiani pointed, and several dozen flying swords wound around Lin Yingmei's head to cover her. The two had waited for an opportunity to move. Their coordination could be described as tacit, acting without any mercy. Yingmei. Wu Xinjie quickly fell before Lin Yingmei's front, Huashue spouting white flames. Humph. Huang Futiani and Jiao Ruoshua's teamwork actually did not give Lin Yingmei too great a trouble. Just as Lin Yingmei was about to counterattack, suddenly, Huang Futiani raised 36 talismans. The talismans transformed in midair, combining with the sword array, shooting out rays of multicolored light, trapping Lin Yingmei and Wu Xinjie within. When this light appeared, the star crests on Lin Yingmei and Wu Xinjie's foreheads immediately turned from extreme twinkling to suddenly dimness. This was Northern Dipper Heavenly Cycle Array 3. Lin Yingmei and Wu Xinjie simultaneously froze. The Northern Dipper Heavenly Cycle Array was one of the arrays that could be counted with fingers that were capable of measuring a star general in the star duels. Besides being ineffective in handling the Pilgrim's array of the Pilgrim, including the Jade Qilin, the Northern Dipper Heavenly Cycle Array was a thorny finisher. However, this finisher had a weakness. It could only target contracted star generals, and at that time, the Star Master must not be nearby. In previous star duels, star generals and star masters practically kept close to each other, so the Northern Dipper Heavenly Cycle Array very rarely saw a chance for use. Let alone that preparing this Northern Dipper Heavenly Cycle Array required enormous amounts of materials. Few people had this, and Wuxia originally had a sketchy version of the array, and in addition, this was giving her just desserts. That time she used the Northern Dipper Heavenly Cycle Array against Lin Chong was still fresh in her memory. She never expected she would ever see it again here at this moment. But compared to the one she originally had, Huang Futian's Northern Dipper Heavenly Cycle Array was much more powerful. The moment the array emerged, it was just like they sunk into a bottomless pit, steadily and endlessly sucking away the pair's star energy. Huang Futian showed a victorious attitude, arrogantly declaring, "Today your last day has come. Never expected that your servant will become the first." Huang Futian laughed. Nearby, Qin Mingyue and Jin Qiongyu also stared blankly. "How about we cooperate to kill this majestic star and knowledge star? You and I can share." Huang Futian proposed. Qin Mingyue does not want to. Qin Mingyue grasped the wolf-toothed mace and was about to strike, but she was pulled back by Jin Qiongyu. "Mingyue does not like this sort of man." Qin Mingyue was disdainful. "Elder sister cannot. Lin Chong is our enemy." Jin Qiongyu was cautious. Qin Mingyue gnashed her teeth. "Precisely, that purple thunder monster moves about the Azure Dragon territory unbridled. If we do not get rid of the majestic star of this generation's star duels, we completely lack any chance of success." Huang Futian was imposing. Jin Qiongyu whispered. It was not known what she said, but the little lowly bit her lip, conflicted and unwilling. "Lin Chong, Wu Yong, if you want to blame someone, blame your master." Huang Futian was afraid of complications from delays. At once he beckoned, making the flying swords attack the two. So as to be sure, he simultaneously threw out several hundred high-grade talismans. So long as he could kill the majestic star and knowledge star, this loss would be worth it in comparison. Having been trapped by the Northern Dipper Heavenly Cycle Array, Lin Yingmei and Wu Xinjie basically had no way to budge. They stared as the killing blow approached. Wu Xinjie sighed. Rip. Sword light twisted, grinding apart the endless Buddhist light. The Brahmanistic sounds fell apart, and the lotus platform crumbled. Great Master Shen Hui stared in shock at the sword sticking into his stomach. Great Compassion Palm. Great Master Shen Hui's palm struck Wu Xiao's shoulder. The bones in her shoulder blade disintegrated, sending Wu Xiao flying. The skies released several dozen rays of green light. Gong Sun Huang activated star magic to block Great Master Shen Hui's pursuit. Great Master Shen Hui did not hold back in the Buddhist aura protecting his body, blocking the star magic. But following close behind was the slash of a sword that the Great Void Golden Lotus had turned into. Great Master Shen Hui raised a magic weapon with difficulty to defend. Without his vague calm from before, the current Great Master Shen Hui, Aratha and Great Master Still Void were all alike in their horror. Great Master Shen Hui, we definitely cannot show any mercy. Poor monk fears not even Emperor Liang can defeat this star general. Great Master Still Void and Aratha urgently called. Set down the 10,000 karma. A chant does not birth the Astasina, quickie coming to listen to Dharma. Great Master Shen Hui put his palms together, crossing his legs in a meditative posture, chanting the Astasina gods and ghost scripture. 5. The greatest difference between Buddhist cultivators and Azure Dragon cultivators was that the powers of Buddhist cultivators had always concentrated into a single type of Chan. Although their powers were not as varied as those of the Azure Dragon Territories cultivators, they often were incomparably powerful. Great Master Still Void's 9 marked white lotuses, and Aratha's Vajra lotus seed transforming body, were both like this. Great Master Shen Hui also was not an exception. When he began to sing the scripture, instantly, The Buddhist aura. Great Master Shen Hui's body glowed brightly. Lotus flowers bubbled forth in the void, and Brahmanistic chanting sang loudly. 8 giant monsters broke free of Great Master Shen Hui's forehead, becoming 8 fanged and toothed monsters, each very sinister and demonic. These 8 were Buddhism's famous 8 non-human beings. The 8 non-human beings crammed the top of the pagoda, their imposing air overflowing the heavens, directly in Wuxia and the others' faces that they could not breathe. Great Master Shen Hui was also on the final leg to Supervoid late stage, and his cultivation could be said to be at the peak. Using this ability was no small matter. The Astasina exhibited malevolent forms. Even the Star Generals, unrivaled in close combat, could not avoid drawing in a breath. Great Master Shen Hui recited scripture. The 8 non-human beings immediately pounced. One breathed a cold light. Another's murderous air soared. Another gave off a weird scent. Another was deadly to the peak. And another was swift as lightning, fierce as a gigantic bird. 6. The 8 non-human beings each used their abilities and methods in succession. If it was any other cultivator, they would have been swept into smithereens by these 8 non-human beings. Wuxia and the others were completely fearless. She grasped her double-ended sword and advanced. The Astasina and 5-star generals immediately battled, shaking the heavens and earth. The world changed, but this Supervoid middle stage honestly was powerful. Under Great Master Shen Hui's continuous chanting, the non-humans beings were increasingly wild, boiling over with a rolling imposing air, as if it could overturn the sky and seas. The 7-floor stupa pagoda shook violently, as if it was about to topple. A while after, the non-human beings finally stopped their rampage. Great Master Shen Hui panted, recalling the ability. Using the non-human beings was because there was no alternative. Otherwise, Great Master Shen Hui did not want to use this. However, even a Star General would die without doubt. Great Master Shen Hui thought to himself that he had sinned. Suddenly, he found that Wuxia, Gongsun Huang and the rest were standing neatly in their original spots. Let alone being dead, not so much as a hair had been harmed, as if the non-human beings just now had been an illusion. How is this possible? Great Master Shen Hui was shocked. Wuxia and the others were also simultaneously shocked and in disbelief. Elder Sister Suwen. Tang Lianxin suddenly cried out in astonishment. Everyone looked. And Suwen's whole body glowed with green light, like a fairy. Good fortune lay beside her, nevertheless at its last breath. The girl's eyes were tightly shut, with a sort of indescribable tenderness and serenity. Could it be you took on the entirety of poor monk's Astasina on your own? Great Master Shen Hui was shaken. And Suwen opened her eyes. The green light scattered like smoke, like rain. Dark rank star magic, mind-stealing smoke and rain. The capabilities of Great Master Shen Hui's seemingly fierce non-human beings could repress Star Generals. But how could he have foreseen that efficacious Star Divine Physician would be here? By the contract she had with the Star Beast Good Fortune. And Suwen activated her dark rank star magic, mind-stealing smoke and rain. This star magic could shift whatever injuries any person sustained onto the user herself. However, by doing so, and Suwen alone bore the already extreme non-human beings. If it was not for relying on Good Fortune's healing, she would have already been unable to persist from the very beginning. After all, this was but a Supervoid middle stage cultivator's power. Without a 5-star destined weapon, Star Generals basically had no way to contend. But how? Great Master Shen Hui was shocked. Hey! An icy shout interrupted, again tearing open a ghastly wound on Great Master Shen Hui's body. The Great Masters were both mentally and physically exhausted. They used all their abilities without exception, yet were unexpectedly powerless to contest. This was somewhat inconceivable. Their grand and magnificent 3 Supervoid cultivations, surprisingly, were helpless against several Star Generals. And Suwen being struck back into the star nest made the hearts of the girls infuriated. The 3 Great Masters had been frightened into continuous retreat. If this got out, this practically would be disgraceful. Great Master Shen Hui instantly already lost his drive for further battle. But how could Aratha and Great Master still Void bear this shame? Great Master, we can only use the 10,000 Buddhas of the Platform Sutra of 6th Patriarch. We ask that Great Master lend his aid. N. Great Master Shen Hui hesitated a moment, nodding in agreement when he saw the star generals in pursuit. Great Master Shen Hui and Great Master Still Void used all of their power to tangle with this rage. 7th-floor Stupa Pagoda, 7th floor. The battle on the floor above made the 7th-floor Stupa Pagoda wobble endlessly, as if it was a small leaf in the middle of a surging wave, jolted up and down, under such disturbing shaking. Holy monk for noble truth was calm in the face, slowly propagating Dharma. Currently, there were altogether 5 people still listening to Dharma. They were Qingzi, Chan Xin, the yellow-clothed person, and Abbess Watermoon along with Chan Master Jia Yi. As far as the contest over the 5 dragons colored glass lamp was concerned, they clearly did not care. However, not everyone could remain aloof. Chan Xin was an exception. It was as if Chan Xion's heart was being scratched by a cat right now. She was filled with a sort of indescribable feeling of unease. If it was before, to be able to hear the holy monk speak of Dharma was something Chan Xian absolutely could only dream of. Now, she had even uprooted an enormous Bodhi tree of the Central Celestial coming to Buddha Kingdom for the sake of making Senior Monk for Noble Truths take a look. Although this shook the entire Far West Buddha Kingdom, this was still not shown. Now this long-cherished wish was accomplished, yet Chan Xian all along could not settle down. Each time the floor above jolted, that surging murderous aura seemed to flow over her body. Unease, fright, confusion, conflict. The feelings that the heavenly solitary star ought not to have totally broke free. For supervoid cultivators had taken action. Will he die? Chan Xian's mind only had this question, half-hearted about this holy monk's Chan technique. Sister Qingzi, shall we go up? Wang Jingji asked. Qingzi hesitated. To be frank, she was relatively shocked. Originally, she had thought that Su Xing had come for the heavenly solitary star. How could she have known that Su Xing unexpectedly was here for the 5 dragons colored glass lamp? Then why would he treat the heavenly solitary star so well along the road? Qingzi did not understand, however, now that 4 supervoid cultivators had set out. Qingzi wiped cold sweat for Su Xing originally. She had thought that it would be a brief instant, that Su Xing would leave the 7th-floor Stupa Pagoda, but she had not expected that the battle on the floor above would be increasingly intense, unexpectedly affecting the entire 7th-floor Stupa Pagoda. Just that imposing air alone made Qingzi's heart shiver. Just what did Su Xing do to those 4 supervoid cultivators? How could things be so severe? According to logic, as Su Xing's sworn little sister, Qingzi ought to go forward and take a look, but thinking of Su Xing's identity again made Qingzi unable to make a determination. Seeing Chan Xian aloof as she listened to Dharma, Qingzi thought to silently observe. Just what relationship did Su Xing and Chan Xian have? Wait, see how the heavenly solitary star makes her determination. Qingzi thought. They could only do so. To be enemies with 4 supervoid cultivators, Qingzi felt honestly this was very unwisely seeking one's own destruction. I will now transmit to you the markless repentance and reform to destroy the offensive actions done within the 3 periods of time, and to purify the 3 karmas. Good knowing advisors, repeat after me. May this disciple be in past, present and future thought, in every thought, unstained by stupidity and confusion. May it be wiped away at once and never arise again. Senior Monk for Noble Truths sat upright on the lotus platform, his mouth spitting up lotus flowers, each word a pearl. The group listened silently and respectfully. At this moment, Abbess Watermoon and Chan Master Jia Yi opened their eyes. They looked at each other, some shock in their eyes. They had just received Great Master Stillvoid's sound projection. Unexpectedly, he wanted to have them go assist at the top of the pagoda, to activate the platform sutra of 6th Patriarch Array and open the 10,000 Buddhas. What was going on? That man unexpectedly could render Buddha Kingdom's peak Buddhas to be without choice. Surprisingly, they were about to activate the platform sutra of 6th Patriarch. Everyone knew that the Buddha Kingdom had 6 ancestors, but these 6 ancestors were not at all the sort of vain title and such of the Azure Dragon territory. Rather, This was confirmation of the Platform Sutra of Sixth Patriarch. The Platform Sutra of Sixth Patriarch was Buddhism's most famous sutra. Following what Sixth Patriarch had declared, when he declared that the six paths combined into one, the 10,000 Buddhas had always suppressed the luck of Buddha kingdom. Otherwise, how could the Buddha kingdom have possibly survived in the midst of the dominance of several territories, declaring themselves the Pure Land world? Star generals were this formidable? Chan Master Jia Yi and Abbess Water Moon looked at each other in dismay, somewhat hesitant. The holy monk was propagating Dharma. To be this rude always meant losing etiquette. Your mind has 1,000 knots. Go undo these knots. To endure remaining here will only increase your worries, and your mind will be increasingly bewildered. Holy Monk Four Noble Truths had apparently anticipated this. He calmly spoke, not becoming angered. We shall trouble the holy monk. Abbess Water Moon and Chan Master Jia Yi were helpless. Although they did not want to participate in a dispute with star generals at all, they knew that the Platform Sutra of Sixth Patriarch Array required them to go. Someday, if they fell into a bind with others looking on without concern, that was the same as self-destruction in Buddha kingdom. The pair flashed away, bolting for the top of the pagoda as Qingxi stared in astonishment. Just what was happening on the floor above for all of the Buddha kingdom's 6 ancestors to go? Haha, interesting. They want to activate the Platform Sutra of Sixth Patriarch. Are they chanting the 10,000 Buddhas? It seems Buddha kingdom really has no way out against these star generals. The yellow-clothed man laughed, completely in spite of the holy monk's dignity. These words made Chan Xian's expression change. Her eyes were somewhat struggling. Dharma is the great way. The nature of the mind is dustless. This benefactor was brought to poor monk by fate, but your heart cannot shed its unease. The cause is ill feeling. How can the meditative mind be comprehended? Holy Monk Four Noble Truths slowly said. Chan Xian had a sudden epiphany, her heart clear. She put her hands together piously. Disciple shall now go rid the cause. Sadhu sadhu. Holy Monk Four Noble Truths chanted. Chan Xian ascended to the next floor, her eyes no longer confused, walking for the top of the pagoda. Since even Chan Xian had gone, Qingxi had no reason to stay in this place. If she did not show herself someday, Su Xing would not be easy to say, let alone that Qingxi had no interest at all about this Chan technique. She announced her guilt and also followed upwards. Very quickly, this room was only left with the yellow-clothed man. Truly interesting. It seems in the end, only your servant has connection with the holy monk's Chan technique. The yellow-clothed man laughed aloud. Holy Monk Four Noble Truths slowly said. Emperor Liang is the Azure Dragon's most senior. How can poor monk's Dharma have a connection with Emperor Liang? The yellow-clothed man took off his hood, revealing a smart and bright face, a distinct countenance and 2 eyes sharp as swords. He was dignified, not furious. Compared to the solemnity of Holy Monk Four Noble Truths, he was not to be outdone. This man was precisely Emperor Liang. When we originally came to see you, Great Master just happened to be in seclusion, and we were unable to request an audience. Today we finally can see the Great Master. Emperor Liang smiled. The two of them were both peak supervoid late-stage cultivators. The courage to make someone raise his hand was sufficient to make someone feel oppressed. Fortunately, this place was already without anyone left, otherwise, this propagation of Dharma might have become torment. Truly, poor monk has troubled your majesty. Not at all, we only wish to ask poor monk a question. Have you comprehended this transforming star of annihilation? Emperor Liang calmly smiled and asked. The imposing air of Holy Monk Four Noble Truths made a rare ripple, immediately calming down silent. How did this happen? Chan Master Jia Yi and Abbess Water Moon rushed to the top of the pagoda, and were stupefied by the scene before them. Buddhist cultivators truly like to appear one by one. Wuxia grasped her double-ended sword, her slender pupils brimming with a cold expression. Use the Platform Sutra of Sixth Patriarch, otherwise we will die here. Great Master Still Void hastily called out. Gong Sun Huang, Yin Yizhen and Wuxia cooperated for an attack. A terrifying murderous aura filled their hearts and made them change expression. knowing that star generals were unmatched in close combat. Although Chan Master Jia Yi and Abbess Watermoon did not have time to think more, having been frightened by Wuxia and the others' imposing air, they hastily formed hand seals. The platform sutra of Sixth Patriarch inherently required the 6 ancestors, but Stupa and Senior Monk Extreme Happiness had died. Great Master Shun Hui actually had the qualifications to assume the opposition, although they were short one person that could no longer be minded too much. The 5 of them simultaneously recited scripture. Immediately, the unbounded void was full of Brahmanistic dharma. Countless scriptures flew out, and gods and Buddhas descended as far as the eye could see. The expressions of Wuxia and the others changed. They felt their heads hurt as if they were splitting apart. Those countless Brahmanistic chants drilled into their minds. No matter how much star energy they used, the group were incapable of dispelling it. Under this Brahmanistic chanting, the group found it completely difficult to move their toes and fingers, let alone attack. This was the 10,000 Buddhas. Not good. Wuxia's eyes had a chill. Countless Buddhist sounds appeared from the 7th-floor stupa pagoda and spread across the entire central celestial. Instantly, the innumerable masses knelt and bowed their heads to the ground. Incense burned non-stop, and the phantoms of gods and Buddhas filling the sky hung suspended, making the entire Buddha kingdom fill with magnificence. Huang Futiani gnashed his teeth. Damned Buddhism. The flying swords and talismans violently attacked to kill the Wuxinji, and Lin Yingmei trapped in the Northern Dipper Heavenly Cycle Array. The Northern Dipper Heavenly Cycle Array could draw away a star general's star energy, and Huang Futiani was confident that even if they did not die, they would be seriously wounded, allowing Jiao Ruoxue to act afterwards. The 2-peak heavenly star were his starfall things then. It was perfect in his imagination. Just at this moment Wuxinjia sighed, and Hua Shui possessed Wuxinjia's body. 9 snow-white tails unfurled. In that instant, Wuxinjia's pupils brimmed with the 2 glints of charm and holiness. Before Huang Futiani could understand what had happened, he suddenly heard a hua-hua noise in the void, as if chains were being pulled around. Immediately afterwards, he saw chains of twinkling golden light suddenly appear in Wuxinjia's surroundings. These chains were seemingly spiritual, circling around to form a battle array. The Northern Dipper Heavenly Cycle Array instantly broke. But how? Huang Futiani was shocked. Wuxinjia pointed, and the black gold chains flew out like snakes. The chains gathered to form the shape of a whirling galaxy. The flying swords and talismans completely broke, and then Wuxinjia's eyes moved. The chains spread without limit, in the end growing 1,000 meters. Between her and Lin Yingmei, a starry sky world formed. This is, Huang Futiani was astonished. 8 gates black gold chain. Jin Qiongyu cried out. Humph. Wuxinjia's lips curled into a sneer. The 8 gates black gold chain twinkled with a dark light, becoming rays hiding into the air. When they appeared again, they were already in front of Huang Futiani. That triangular tip was like a viper poking it out its deadly snake tongue. Young master. Faceless Jiao Ruoxue hastily returned to defend. But she had only taken a step when her ankles were locked up. Turning her head back to look, Wuxinjia's 8 gates black gold chains had already bound her. Oh no! Jiao Ruoxue turned pale with horror. Her palms used her boxing technique, but the 8 gates black gold chain hooked as it wished, winding around her arms. In the blink of an eye, her whole body was tightly trapped. No matter how Jiao Ruoxue struggled, she could not budge at all. Yingmei young master's 10,000 Buddhas has manifested. Let us not waste any more time. Wuxinjia smiled, her 9 tails spreading out. Lin Yingmei nodded. Aiming at the stupefied and speechless Jin Qiongyu and Qin Mingyue, she took an ice-cold pace, attacking them. Jin Qiongyu consecutively used Wind Thunder Lightning Flash. The thunderlight filling the skies was easily broken by Lin Yingmei's spear technique. Scram-you! Qin Mingyue's expression was grave. Sensing the chill in Lin Yingmei's spear, she was overcome with a stifling feeling. The little loli was nevertheless fierce, her hands grasping the wolf-toothed fire beacon mace, raising her heavy body to face this head-on. Jin Qiongyu did not dare disobey, immediately turning around and fleeing. The 8 gates black gold chain at this moment went for her, and Jin Xiangyue used star magic to strike. Little sister, watch this mace. Qin Mingyue straddled her star beast, shouting. Little sister is impolite, you should be spanked. Lin Yingmei simultaneously sat upon her snow-walking frost-eye beast. If a star general sat on a star beast, her own body would combine with the star beast's star energy. Each and every move would be even more powerful. Lin Yingmei did not dare look down on the similarly 5-tiger Qin Mingyue. The air in Lin Yingmei's surroundings instantly froze. The intense cold made them hide away 3 qi. Borrowing the snow-walking frost-eye beast's ice-cold speed, Lin Yingmei's spear was extremely chilling to the bone. Her powerful strength brought with it extreme speed. Her entire person was a white blur, completely unable to make out the shape of a person. Fierce star fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue also was not to be underestimated. The imposing aura of her whole body burned, summoning a suffocating heat wave. That wolf-toothed fire beacon mace was like a sky-devouring monster opening its jaws. Ignoring the fierce star fiery thunderbolt's enormous oppressive feeling, Lin Yingmei's eyes exploded with cold light. The Arctic star serpent spear was like a net. The snow-walking frost-eye beast flapped its ice-cold wings, and a cold light enveloped its mistress. From head to toe, she smit a lethal bone-chilling cold. Under this sort of ability, the star energy of Lin Yingmei's whole body began to concentrate and expand in an unbelievable manner. It was as if Lin Yingmei had become the world's coldest existence. The Arctic star serpent spear already borrowed the powerful force of the impact to fiercely strike, a deadly murderous aura instantly shooting out. In this instant, the domineering airs of the 2 5-tiger generals fully opened, not holding back in the slightest. Boom! An enormous noise made the central celestial jolt. Even the Buddhist disciples, all permeating under the 10,000 Buddhas, had their minds shaken awake. Ice and fire shook apart. Qin Mingyue and her star beast staggered backwards in retreat. During their retreat, the space in between rolled over with flowers of flame endlessly as if something was missing. A giant flame blossomed in the sky, but it was immediately extinguished by gale of cold. In this instant, Qin Mingyue's armor had an additional cut on it. The star beast she rode also already showed slight ice-cold lights. In contrast, her attacks could only bring to Lin Yingmei wounds that were feeling wholly dissatisfactory. Lin Cheng, look again. Qin Mingyue called out with a hoarse voice. Her star beast rolled a transparent fire, and the little lowly once again launched a fierce attack, unwilling to give up. Lin Yingmei's brows knit together, casting off the innocent appearance of a lowly. Hidden deep within the fierce star's bones indeed was a boldness to fight with all her might. The snow-walking frost-eye beast moved about perfectly in the air, directly dodging Qin Mingyue's first pounce, but the fiery thunderbolt star beast suddenly exerted strength, becoming a shocking bolt of lightning, summoning a stifling wind to directly advance. The cold spear received it, and Lin Yingmei's spear technique slashed consecutively, while the snow-walking frost-eye beast also unleashed a cold light to battle. Fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue's retreat rapidly stopped. Her body had sustained some injuries that were insignificant. Those little problems on her body still could not affect her movements. The star beast swayed its body, shaking out a massive flame, continuing again to approach Lin Yingmei. But the angry cry in that flame body was even more luminous, making all who heard it have their hair stand on end. This was Qin Ming's full power. The all-out efforts of both made direct contact. In the admiring gazes of the Buddhist disciples, in the sky, the blinding flames and the bone-chilling cold once again bumped into each other. Lin Yingmei's expressionless face showed extreme tranquility. That was not at all a wide back for a star general. Yet she nevertheless made the Buddhist disciples feel insignificant. During the frightening contact, the giant wolf-toothed mace already violently swung right at Lin Yingmei. The enormous wind pressure even made the long bangs over Lin Yingmei's eyes flutter up. Those ice-bearing light clear as ice were incomparably peaceful. The surrounding air suddenly was burned into scattering everywhere in a flutter, demonstrating powerful might. Bang! The sky violently jolted as if there was an earthquake. Within the diffusing flames, Lin Yingmei spurred the snow-walking frost-eye beast to rush out. Fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue's wolf-toothed fire beacon mace could bring about a giant stifling strength when it attacked, and every wave could create flames and explosions, contending directly, absolutely dangerous. But Lin Yingmei was fearless. The Arctic Star Serpent Spear and the wolf-toothed fire beacon mace slammed into each other, activating star magic, not falling to a disadvantage. The two struggled in the air. Their silhouettes currently seemed to have become the sun and the moon. The people below did not dare look directly, stealing away the scene of the 10,000 Buddhas. Star energy was completely released. Sitting on star beasts allowed the two star maidens to become fiend stars in name and reality. Revolving endlessly in the sky, the glaring light of their battle continuously waved about. Flames and ice and snow scattered in all directions, fluttering about through the whole sky. Qin Mingyue exerted all her strength to continuously attack, her momentum incomparably astonishing. Enormous explosions consecutively boomed. Nevertheless, they left behind only individual fireballs in the sky, futilely progressing her own useless efforts. Compared to Lin Yingmei, Qin Mingyue always fell behind. The aerial battle made everyone unable to draw breath. This level of combat already was not something they could imagine. The battle strength of two great five Tiger Generals Star Generals were but the highest tier of the pyramid, and their close combat abilities naturally could not be underestimated. The squall of the sky was larger and larger. The hurricane of flame that fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue's wolf-toothed mace gave rise to had disintegrated countless buildings. Already, they were almost encroaching on the 7th-floor stupa pagoda. Lin Yingmei's figure already was quickly drawn into a line. A clang 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 sound continuously resounded. Their weapons created countless struggles, as if they would never stop. There were several hundred exchanges. The corner of Lin Yingmei's eye already spotted the trajectory of fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue's attack. The battle more or less was coming upon a rest. Fiercely gritting her teeth, the star energy in her body was like a gale as it circulated. Enormous energy frantically stirred her body structure. Cold air enveloped Lin Yingmei's whole body. Qin Mingyue felt her skin touch the chill of ice cold, unable to shrug it off. This was far from good. Lin Yingmei suddenly flashed away, dodging Qin Mingyue's attack, already appearing beside the little lowly. The body of ice and snow again radiated a dazzling light. The enormous light made Buddha Kingdom illuminated, and they could not help but shut their eyes. Lin Yingmei's expression was stern. The Arctic Star Serpent Spear thrust out, just like a heaven and earth splitting sword. After a brief pause, there was an abrupt rebound, and light fell directly down from the sky. In the instant she thrust, time and space seemed to halt. The surrounding air seemed to instantly be stopped in place. Qin Mingyue had a sort of dreamlike suffocating feeling. That spear tip of flashing ice-cold light seemed to be sole thing in the world in existence, attracting Qin Mingyue's mind. Not good. The girl was pale. The spear technique was like a shooting star, carrying powerful energy that resolutely pierced through Qin Mingyue's body. Bang! With the sound of a freezing penetration, and the entire world seemed to freeze. Qin Mingyue was cut down onto the ground by the slash, no longer able to move. Lin Yingmei stabbed directly, and Qin Mingyue despaired. Moreover, Wu Xinjie's 8-gate black gold chain could be said to be a frightening star weapon. The moment the chains emerged, they seriously moved about the world unhindered. Jiao Ruoxue was very quickly bound. The 8 gates black gold chain wrapped tighter and tighter. The evil star very quickly felt suffocated. The mask suddenly collapsed under the chains, revealing a beautiful face that was unresigned. Little sister, sorry. Wu Xinjie's eyes glinted. The 8 gates black gold chain explosively radiated golden light. Jiao Ruoxue groaned. Immediately, she was disintegrated by the chains, turned to ash and dust. Huangfu Yanyi was greatly shocked. His mind felt a sinking feeling, for he did not expect Jiao Ruoxue to be defeated so quickly. 8 gates black gold chain. How could you have this sort of thing? Huangfu Tianyi asked in disbelief. The chains constricted his whole body, making his chance to use the jade pendant to flee disappear. Because Xinjie is the knowledge star. Wu Xinjie's lovely smile was like a demon in Huangfu Tianyi's eyes. Huangfu Tianyi was unresigned. using the flying swords, but the flying swords were blocked by the 8 gates black gold chain, completely useless. The 8 gates black gold chain wrapped tighter. Huang Futiani could not speak, his hopes turning to dust, falling into despair. Then the 8 gates black gold chain released a hurricane. Huang Futiani screamed, unreconciled, turning into dust. Then, evil star faceless boxing gloves immediately appeared. In the sky, a star fell. Before Wu Xinjie could exhale, she suddenly heard a groan resound in the sky. Lifting her head to look, Lin Yingmei had already acquired the key moment in her battle with Qin Mingyue. The majestic star stabbed, and Qin Mingyue was cut down. Lin Yingmei jumped down from the snow-walking frost-eye beast, both her hands grasping the spear as she stabbed at Qin Mingyue. With Qin Mingyue's condition, she already had no way to escape. "Do you still have anything to say?" Lin Yingmei peacefully said, her eyes nevertheless somewhat distressed. Qin Mingyue grit her teeth. Mingyue is only sorry she could not help elder sister Qingxi. Can elder sister promise little sister something? Help elder sister Qingxi, she can help free us of the star duels. Silence. Apologies, your servant has only ever obeyed young master alone. Lin Yingmei's spear pierced through Qin Mingyue's heart. Liked it. A magnificent light flashed by, and Qin Ming disappeared without a trace. Lin Yingmei stored her spear and lifted her head. In the sky, there was no starfall at all, meaning that Qin Ming did not die? Strange, could it be that Qin Ming has signed a contract? Wu Xinjie slowly walked over, very bewildered. If a star general that did not sign a contract were to receive a fatal wound, they would starfall. Qin Ming had undoubtedly died just now, but if she had a contract, to not see Qin Ming's Star Master honestly was odd. Wu Xinjie could not believe that the reason the Star Master was absent from the fierce star's side was the same as her own. Yingmei. Wu Xinjie flashed forth and brought Lin Yingmei into her embrace. Lin Yingmei was somewhat powerless. That intense battle with Qin Ming just now had extremely fatigued her strength. After all, the fierce star fiery thunderbolt was a 5 tiger. How could she be a character defeated as easily as turning over a hand? Sister Yingmei, you truly went through a lot of trouble. Wu Xinjie drew near her ear, her alluring words like silk. The 9-tailed spirit fox's possession made her look very bewitching. Lin Yingmei's pale cheeks rose with a blush, shoving Wu Xinjie aside. Sister Yingmei, you really are shy. We both have attended to young lord together already. Wu Xinjie drew Lin Yingmei's rough waist towards her. Her lips ambiguously pecked Lin Yingmei's cheeks, their posture extremely suggestive. Lin Yingmei seemed to suffer an electric shock, breaking free with strength that came from who knew where. Uprightly she said, "Wu Xinjie, are you drunk?" Although they had indeed seen each other at their most stark, at that time, Lin Yingmei's whole heart was hung on Su Xing, not caring at all about those minor ambiguities. Oh, seeing Sister Yingmei's powerless appearance, Xinjie is somewhat drunk. Wu Xinjie's charming romanticness was loose, her cheeks slightly ablush. Do you want your servant to help calm you down? Lin Yingmei was completely without politeness. Wu Xinjie slightly winked, putting away her frivolous attitude. The 9 tails retracted, and the spirit fox emerged from her body. The 8 gates black gold briefly stirred restlessly, becoming a ray of golden light that bore into Wu Xinjie's body. The knowledge star let out a rather provocative moan that made Lin Yingmei's ears grow warm. A moment later, Wu Xinjie recovered her composure. Truly, Xinjie does not wish to use the 8 gates black gold chain. Wu Xinjie exhaled. Do not lower your guard, for Qin Ming's Star Master might return. Lin Yingmei reminded. Perhaps fierce star Qin Mingyue did not sign a contract. Wu Xinjie smiled. Lin Yingmei's expression was full of doubt. Did young master already say that Jin Qiongyu had signed a contract with Qingxi? Since this Qin Mingyue and Jin Qiongyu are together, their relationship is not shallow. Wu Xinjie surmised, also a bit pensive. However, it truly is strange. Why would this sort of thing occur? Lin Yingmei raised her head, gazing at the 7-floor stupa pagoda. Is it Qingxi, top of the pagoda? Qingxi suddenly changed her expression. She extended an arm and turned her hand. A banner appeared out of nowhere in her palm. It was too late to think anymore. Qingxi's expression was grave. She bit open her fingertip, and she smeared her blood onto the banner. A magnificent scene appeared in Qingxi's surroundings. Countless blue and white brushstroke-like outlines appeared in the air with simple and elegant trajectories. Graceful blue smoke circulated around her body, uniquely beautiful. Qingxi's lips slightly moved. The innumerable blue tadpole-like characters on the banner changed shape, finally forming a gorgeous star crest. After this was completed, Qingxi then slowly drew in a breath. The blue smoke scattered, yet her expression did not ease. Sister Qingxi? Li Longkui, Wang Jingji and the others were astonished, clearly sensing what had happened just now. Qin Ming had been killed? Do not say anything at all. Your servant has her own plans. Qingxi was calm. Walking into the void, suddenly she heard a stabbing Brahmanistic chanting. Qingxi knelt on the ground, her head splitting with pain. This is inside 10,000 Buddhas. The Su Xing soaking in boundless bliss at the moment was currently at a realm where he could not move up or down. The 5 dragons colored glass lamp above his head released light. The 5 dragons wound around. The Buddhist aura radiated, and that illusory meditative mind lotus seed seemed substantial, manifesting its shape in the air. The Buddhist light was like a sea, vastly irrigating it, but the Dharma was lacking, and the blossoming was slow enough to raise one's hackles. However, although Su Xing's heart-like mirror soul technique had already reached the 3rd highest realm, sensing that Ensuan had returned to the star nest still made Su Xing's mind drop its guard. After all, Su Xing inherently had not truly reached that exceedingly refined degree. He could not turn a deaf ear to the danger outside. Furthermore, in the case that Su Xing's mind was in disorder, this 5 dragons' light would become increasingly slow, and the budding meditative mind lotus seed would also depress. Just at this moment, suddenly, countless Brahmanistic chants came through the void to his ear. Innumerable gods and Buddhas appeared in the void. A Bodhi forest and polo flowers formed a sea that encircled Su Xing within. Countless Buddhist sutra recitations endlessly poured into his ear. This sudden 10,000 Buddhas was like a last hope. His originally absent-minded mood immediately once again recovered its tranquility. At this moment, Wuxia and the others were bitterly persisting through a tangle for his meditative mind lotus seed. If he were to give up now, how could returning empty-handed not waste all of their efforts? Su Xing suddenly had an epiphany, and he slowly recited, "Everything is that way, neither begun nor ended, neither impure nor pure, neither increasing nor decreasing. And so within the void there is no material form, and no sensation, no discrimination, no thinking and no consciousness. There is not sensory perception, no form, sound, smell, taste, touch or reasoning. There are no 18 dhatu of sensation from sight to consciousness vijnana, or 12 links of avidya, and its ending to old age and death jara marana, and their ending. There are even no Four Noble Truths, nor wisdom, nor attainment. Because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas, 2 Buddhas, arhats and polo flowers opened. The Bodhi tree rocked. Sarira, precious etc., stupas, and colored glass became 10,000 fragments that entered the meditative mind lotus seed. The 5 dragons simultaneously cried out. Suddenly, the meditative mind lotus flower slowly spread its petals. Good, let us not delay. Immediately go stop that man. The 10,000 Buddhas of the platform of 6th Patriarch included Buddha Kingdom's 6 ancestors, the superpower of cooperating supervoid cultivators. The congregate of the entire Buddha Kingdom's power. What Wuxia faced was not the Buddha Kingdom's 6 ancestors, but Buddha Kingdom's millions of disciples. Let alone star generals, even Emperor Liang, any cultivator that was the least bit irreverent of Buddha, would inevitably swear allegiance to the 10,000 Buddhas, unable to free themselves of worldly worries. Wuxia, Gongsun Huang, Yin Yizhen and Tang Lianxin exerted star energy to break free of the Brahmanistic chants in their minds. But that immeasurable Dharma had no gaps to fall through. Their bodies had been frozen down to the cells. When Great Master Stillvoid saw these star generals had already been trapped, it was too late to think anymore. Immediately he was about to rush into the 5 dragons colored glass lamp. Perish the thought. Wuxia clenched her teeth, raising the noble frost demonic lotus with difficulty. The pilgrim was unwilling to give up. Wusong, there is no need. Abyss Water Moon slightly sighed. Do not mind them. Just as the Chan masters were about to rush in, suddenly, a powerful force caged them. What? Great Master Shen Hui and the others were astonished, hastily waving their hands to go block. Life is like a place full of thorns. The heart is motionless, and thus one does not act rashly. Being motionless therefore does no harm. When the heart finally moves, one acts rashly, which causes pain to body and bone. One then realizes how much pain there truly is in society. 3 Faint Brahmanistic chanting slowly made its way over. A woman descended from the heavens, wearing golden muslin, her hair rolled slightly in a cloud bun, her expression particularly pious. Her forehead had a golden star crest that was like colored glass. Heavenly Solitary Star Lu Jishan. The Chan masters were stunned. Heavenly Solitary Star Lu Jishan was free within the 10,000 Buddhas. The 3,000 Dharmas did not have the slightest influence on Chan Xian. As the sole star general among them all that was Buddhist, Chan Xian showed extremely tranquility. Heavenly Solitary Star, why do you do this? Great Master Shen Hui respectfully said. I ask you all, why do you dedicate yourselves to him? Chan Xian turned her head to look at Wuxia. Under the weight of the 10,000 Buddhas, how could she speak a single word? But her resolute eyes clearly showed her entire reply. Chan Xian nodded her head in understanding. Since there is fate, Chan Xian shall complete this karma. Chan Xian sighed. Heavenly Solitary Star, could it be you wish to see a star general dishonor our Buddha's holy object? Do not speak with her any further. The star generals all say the same thing. 6. Aratha was furious. The Vajra Dharma characteristics appeared, and he instantly rushed over. Bang! Chan Xian caught Aratha's fist with one hand, her expression still aloof. Impossible. Aratha's expression was pale, and his other hand then boomed over. When this punch arrived, Chan Xian's left fist already struck Aratha's chest. Instantly, Aratha's face contorted, feeling his internal organs turn back to front. Originally, the barely protective star energy dispersed. I have offended Great Master. Chan Xian had barely spoke. Aratha was then sent flying 100 meters, astonishingly unable to crawl back up. Hey! The others did not hesitate. In the next second, they totally threw themselves over magic weapons and powers glaring and dazzling. Although they had already been worn down in battle by Wuxia and the others, arrows at the end of their path, the imposing auras that erupted for their attachment to Buddhism's holy object at this final moment still changed. Amitba. Chan Xian put her palms together 7. In the midst of the wildly fluttering gale calm. Immediately, a Chan staff appeared in her hands. This Chan was completely sparkling and translucent, with 3 sparkling stars. This was the Heavenly Solitary Star's destined star weapon, Devil Sealing Crescent Moon Chan. And at the same time, the Heavenly Solitary Star's star beast Withering Thriving Lotus Flower Beast also appeared suddenly. Its wings spread, just like a lotus flower adornment. In a split second, Heavenly Solitary Star Lu Jishan's expression was full of an unprecedented violence and terror. Jiayi, you go contest the colored glass lamp. Abyss Water Moon, and the rest of us shall stall the Heavenly Solitary Star. Great Master Still Void shouted. The originally hesitant Chan Master Jiayi and Abyss Water Moon could no longer not act upon hearing this. Great Master, careful. Abyss Water Moon shouted. What? Great Master Still Void spat a mouthful of blood. Chan Xian's staff knocked him flying. If it was not Chan Xian unintentionally killing him, this staff was enough to knock a completely spent Great Master Still Void dead. Heavenly Solitary Star, you are unbridled towards the Great Master. Abyss Water Moon raised her own magic weapon, Compassionate Fairy Jade Pure Bottle. 8 millions of magnificent rays shot towards the Heavenly Solitary Star, and at the same time, both her hands formed the mark of fearlessness to use another ability. Facing a star general unrivaled in close combat, Abyss Water Moon did not dare to leave any leeway. Not in authentic realm, Water Moon Paradise. 9. Heavenly King's Devil Sealing Chan Technique. 10. Chan Xian shouted. The devil sealing crescent moon Chan in her hands waved, forming a galaxy, cold light sweeping and shooting out. Those million rays of magnificent light were entirely torn to shreds. The water moon paradise fairyland was bumped to pieces. Chan Xian charged out, instantly arriving at her front. The devil sealing crescent moon staff hit at Abyss Water Moon. Abyss Water Moon was forced into continuously retreated backwards by Chan Xian's staff technique, battered and exhausted. Heavenly Solitary Star Lu Jishan. Why do you renounce my Buddha? My Buddha is born of my heart, hoping only to resolve karma. 11. Chan Xian was neither sorrowful or joyful. What? Just what are you thinking of doing? The most peak Buddhist general that came from Maiden Mountain. Each word she spoke was tranquil enough to penetrate anyone's heart. I am thus shacking. This is the 5 dragons colored glass lamp. Chan Master Jia Yi entered the boundless light. He spotted the Su Xing sitting in meditation, astonished to see the 5 dragons colored glass lamp floating over his head. The 5 dragons of that 5 dragons colored glass lamp coiled about, emitting Buddhist light. From that 5 dragons colored glass lamp was a steady magic energy that irrigated upon Su Xing's body, appearing incomparably dignified. Even a Buddha Kingdom 6 ancestor Chan Master, such as Jia Yi, was moved. For a moment, Chan Master Jia Yi was somewhat hesitant about whether to make a move or not. Just at this moment, suddenly a black shadow flit by. That silhouette was extremely quick, dissolving into space. Even supercluster level cultivation like Chan Master Jia Yi's could only barely detect this. Chan Master Jia Yi waved his palm without thinking, the palm using fragmented shala tree leaves to force away the newcomer. What appeared before him was a young woman of sweet and fair physique. Her black hair stuck close to her body, and she wore a black mask that half covered her face. On her slender hands were 2 glinting flying claws. Thief Star Flea on a drum? Don't even think of getting close to Su Xing. Her claws launched, flying over. What is the meaning of this? How can this man have so many star generals? Chan Master Jia Yi was inwardly puzzled. Nevertheless, his hand was not slow at all, forming a hand seal. 2 shala leaves emerged with a snap, stopping the hoodwinking flying claws. Shi Yuan was a martial 4-star general, after all not. 2. The threat her star weapon's power could bring to Chan Master Jia was practically negligible. The girl used wind-chasing shadow hiding. Even with Chan Master Jia Yi's divine intent, he was incapable of catching her. Chan Master Jia Yi shook his leg, using an ability, Samgarama Treasure Leaf Sutra. 3. In his surroundings suddenly appeared countless floating shala trees. These shala trees revolved and formed a zone of bliss. Each shala leaf appeared to be lighter than a feather, but a strike on the body was nevertheless heavier than Mount Tai. Even if the thief star's concealment arts were unrivaled underneath the heavens, being unable to approach was wasted effort. Chan Master Jia Yi did not think any further. Extending his hand in a hook, he was about to snatch away the 5 dragons colored glass lamp. Wahua! Shi Yuan appeared, and the 1,000 layers 10,000 calamities web also emerged. Poor monk is not your enemy. Poor monk wishes only to take back Buddhism's holy item. Chan Master Jia Yi spoke, the Samgarama Treasure Leaf Sutra's countless shala trees encircling the 1,000 layers 10,000 calamities web. In the blink of an eye, they destroyed this web. Shi Yuan was too late to grieve. The 5 poisons banner shook at the same time, and the long already fully charged 5 poisons puppet mechanism spat out the 5 poisons. But all of this was no more than the level of tickling to a supervoid cultivator. Chan Master Jia Yi did not even look. With a swift step he scuttled to Su Xing's front, grabbing. Old monk, do not touch Su Xing. Shi Yuan anxiously shouted, the hoodwinking flying claws crisscrossing. Chan Master Jia Yi manifested a Chan staff, blocking the flying claws while extending his hand to grab at the same time. Shi Yuan was greatly worried. Just as Chan Master Jia Yi was about to seize Su Xing, all of a sudden, Chan Master Jia Yi's arms seemed to have been frozen, incapable of reaching any further. Chan Master Jia Yi, this is rude. Su Xing opened his eyes, his expression calm, but his brow was full of a sort of dignity that made Chan Master Jia Yi feel disbelief. Lacking in manners indeed. Chan Master Jia Yi nodded, suddenly reaching out to grab. With the shala leaves like divine soldiers covering Su Xing was aloof. His figure instantly gave Chan Master Jia Yi a sort of phantom sensation, as if he had instantly transformed into a giant pagoda too high to reach, giving rise to an enormous feeling of oppression. Su Xing's divine intent moved. A formless pressure unexpectedly directly firmly suppressed Chan Master Jia Yi's powers. Chan Master Jia Yi was completely stupefied. Su Xing. When Shi Yuan saw Su Xing, she charged over happily. Nervously she asked, "Did you succeed?" "More or less." Su Xing nodded. "More or less Wuxia and the others are in some danger. Go first." Su Xing did not explain. Shi Yuan knew she could not delay. Su Xing opened his palm. The 5 dragons colored glass lamp landed upon it. The boundless light was suddenly sucked by the colored glass lamp. Su Xing's thoughts moved, and a glistening branch flew from his astral bag. The miraculous Bodhi tree. Chan Master Jia Yi was astounded, showing a complex expression. He put his palms together and subconsciously took several steps back. "Great Master, do you still want to obstruct me?" Su Xing calmly looked at Chan Master Jia Yi. The miraculous Bodhi tree and the 5 dragons colored glass lamp combined. Suddenly, bluish-green light flashed, and the 5 dragons flickered with multiple colors. Ba. With things already this far, how could Chan Master Jia not understand what was happening? Abyss Water Moon motioned with her hand, continuously adding several amulets onto the compassionate fairy jade pure bottle. Her hands squeezed into hand seals. Aiming a finger at the illusory heavenly solitary star, a blue light the thickness of her pinky shot straight out of the bottle. Abyss Water Moon continuously changed hand seals, circulating her magic energy, and that blue light continued to pursue. The heavenly solitary star's devil sealing crescent moon Chan thrust, and a crescent light shot out. It completely shredded the compassionate fairy jade pure bottle's radiance. Great Master Still Void and Great Master Shen Hui hastily thought to rush over when they saw this. Just at this moment, the light at the top of the pagoda receded suddenly. Everyone was astonished, and in several breaths' time, that light that was seemingly a world unto itself had disappeared without a trace. 3 people emerged from within. Oh no! Great Master Shen Hui saw that the 5 dragons colored glass lamp was in Su Xing's hand. Suddenly there was a great change. His figure flashed by, directly grabbing at Su Xing. Great Master Still Void did not fall behind, also using full power. Although the 2 Super Void middle stage ancestors were already more or less exhausted, they reckoned they still had enough to dispatch a galaxy cultivator. Su Xing sneered. 24 flying swords emerged, forming 2 overlapping lights. The sword lights flashed, immediately beating back the pair. Recite the 10,000 Buddhas. When the Buddha 6 ancestors saw this, they completely did not hesitate to fall back. The weakening 10,000 Buddhas once again manifested their boundless dharmas. Wuxia and the others were suffering extremely. Su Xing took a step, appearing with Shi Yuan in between the girls. He then waved his hand, and in the void, a giant lotus flower void unfurled. When this lotus appeared, it transformed into a golden canopy that enveloped Wuxia and the other girls. That dharma hovering by their ears immediately disappeared. Wuxia was stunned, her eyes somewhat stirred. "I've troubled you all just now," Su Xing regretfully said. Wuxia shook her head. "It is all thanks to Suan. Suan is still resting." Su Xing smiled. Turning his head, he gazed at those Buddha Kingdom 6 ancestors putting up a final struggle. Impossible. The meditative mind lotus flower. Everyone was shaken. The meditative mind lotus flower was Buddhism's supreme secret technique. Only those sorts of cultivators who truly achieved supreme enlightenment could possibly comprehend it. This meditative mind lotus flower represented that a cultivator had the highest achievement in Buddhism. Legend said that when this technique emerged, the 3,000 Buddhist sects and millions of dharmas would be instantly comprehended with a snap of the fingers. However, the meditative mind lotus flower honestly was too demanding. Even the Buddha Kingdom's 6 ancestors were unable to bloom one. In the Buddha Kingdom, there was only one person who had blossomed the meditative mind lotus flower, and he was treated as a Buddha-like existence. And he was precisely holy monk for noble truths. How could a star master like you possibly blossom the meditative mind lotus flower? Great Master Still Void showed a hateful expression and attacked Su Xing. Great Master Still Void. Becoming angry is certainly not good. Su Xing icily said. The meditative mind lotus flower's petals opened to reveal a Buddha. Suddenly, a powerful pressure pushed directly on Great Master Still Void. A sort of fear made Great Master Still Void's hands and feet incapable of budging. This was not at all a difference in cultivations, and neither was it Su Xing using divine intent to suppress him. Rather, it was because the meditative mind lotus flower concentrated Buddhism's Mahayana, and opened that each petal was full of the concentrated reverence and piety of those who followed Dharma. With millions of Dharma gathered, so long as a Buddhist cultivator was still reverent of Buddhism, it was difficult to not have a feeling of fear arise in the heart. That was why the meditative mind lotus flower had that bloom to see Buddha reputation. Bang! Great Master Still Void put his palms together and shut his eyes. Su Xing then gazed at Great Master Shen Hui. It is the will of heaven, the will of heaven. Great Master Shen Hui exclaimed. He showed his palm, ending his aggression. Poor monk did not expect that benefactor could surprisingly blossom the meditative mind lotus flower. When he finished speaking, the two great masters were suddenly pale in the face. Their whole bodies trembled, gazing at Su Xing with fright. Su Xing's gaze showed killing intent. He itched to kill these pompous 6 ancestors to relieve the hate in his heart. That is also the will of heaven. Su Xing coldly said, his flying sword slashing. Great Master Shen Hui continuously dodged, crying out. Why is benefactor doing this? If a person kills someone, then they must realize the feeling of being killed. Great Master, is your servant wrong? Su Xing's expression sunk. Great Master Shen Hui and the others knew that the man in front of them blamed them for acting against Wuxia and the others, but they already were arrows at the end of their paths, battered and bruised to exhaustion by the star generals. If Su Xing acted now, how could they oppose? Let alone that Su Xing had blossomed the meditative mind lotus flower, and that the 5 dragons lamp had already been lit with Bodhi. Even if they had any more star energy, they were incapable of harming him. Benefactor stole our Buddhism's holy object first. How can you have reversed black and white? So what if I did? Su Xing was disinclined to waste anything on this logic. The flying swords cut with a swoosh. Stop! A cold light blocked the flying swords. Heavenly solitary Lu Zhishan obstructed Su Xing's front. Chan Exine? My monastic name is Shaking. Su Xing, since you have already blossomed the meditative mind lotus seed, you ought to lay down your intent to kill. Lu Shaking said. Shaking, you also saw that these monks bullied my wives. Even the 10,000 Buddhas appeared. Can I still treat people fairly? Su Xing chuckled. Lord Husband, it is best to forget about this. Wu Xio at this time stepped out to ameliorate. Just what is happening here? Abbess Water Moon gazed at Su Xing in shock. Poor monk fears that benefactor Su Xing's mind has always had the meditative mind lotus seed for things to be thus. It seems we have all misunderstood him. Chan Master Jiayi laughed. Su Xing declined to comment. He gazed at Chan Xian. He is but a star master. How could he have possibly blossomed the meditative mind lotus flower? Abbess Watermoon still did not dare believe. Delusion is difficult to see through because it is premised upon the false notions of an I and a you, which boundlessly robs the mind of clarity of insight. This delusion has stained the mind for a very long time, and is the basis and driving force of the continuous cycle of life and death. This is why it is often not possible for delusion to be wiped out immediately. In Buddhism, all things, all dharma, are inherently empty. The pagoda's void vanished and became an ordinary space. Buddha West approaches slowly walked out, benign-faced, reciting an admonition. Holy monk, the Buddha Kingdom's 6 ancestors saluted. For this benefactor to be able to comprehend the meditative mind lotus seed, He has experienced hardship. He has a connection with my Buddha. You all still are unable to sweep away the filth in your hearts, incapable of seeing clearly. In fact, you should not meditate in seclusion for 3 years. Holy monk for noble truths calmly said. He pointed a finger, and the group recovered their vitality. This was not an order, but he allowed them no way to decline. Holy monk, he has but slain Stupa and senior monk extreme happiness. Era the hastily said. Cause and effect coexist. This cannot be blamed on another person. Holy monk for noble truths was dispassionate. Era the sighed. He knew that since matters had reached this stage, this could only be blamed on him losing his fundamental nature. Although he was somewhat unwilling, Buddha Kingdom's holy monk had spoken. How could the 6 ancestors dare disobey? Furthermore, this counted as a discreet way to help them out of trouble. Buddha West approaches had exhorted them to meditate for 3 years. Su Xing knew to reap a benefit when he saw it. After the Buddha Kingdom's 6 ancestors saluted, they took their leave, watching Su Xing with incomparably complex expressions, especially with distress towards that meditative mind lotus flower. Many thanks to Holy Monk for helping your servant succeed. This 5 dragons colored glass lamp has already been lit with the miraculous Bodhi tree by your servant. Now your servant returns it to its rightful owner. Su Xing presented his palms, and the 5 dragons colored glass lamp flew before Holy Monk for Noble Truths where it floated around. Holy Monk for Noble Truths glanced at it. He faintly smiled. This object and benefactor were brought together by fate. Benefactor, just take it. The 5 dragons colored glass lamp became a bolt of gold light that disappeared into Su Xing's astral bag. Su Xing did not refuse. Qingxi, you alright? Su Xing saw Qingxi was extremely weak, supported by Li Longkue, who was feeling confused. He did not appear to be deliberately feigning while she was completely spent, pale in the face. What was the meaning of this? Su Xing glanced at the others. Wuxia and the girls did not know. Lord Su, Qingxi never expected you to be able to bloom the meditative mind lotus flower. Qingxi is truly impressed. Qingxi forced a smile. Su Xing did not know what a good reply was. Shaking, really many thanks for just now. Su Xing then thanked Lu Shaking. If it was not for Heavenly Solitary Star Lu Shaking acting on the 10,000 Buddhas, at that time, the meditative mind lotus flower basically could never bloom. Your meditative mind lotus flower is not yet perfect, correct? Lu Shaking saw through him with a glance. The 1,000-layered lotus flower in the void seemed to cover heaven, but upon closer inspection, the center of the flower still had a bud that had not fully opened. Su Xing nodded, not concealing this. The meditative mind lotus flower was worthy of being called Buddhism's supreme secret treasure. Even when a prehistoric spirit treasure like the 5 dragons colored glass lamp, and something as imposing as the 10,000 Buddhas were added to Su Xing's heart still as water realm, the meditative mind lotus flower still did not fully bloom. Vaguely inside his heart, there was still something missing, and Su Xing could not clearly describe it. Ji Shaking nodded. Let's go, Sister Ing Mei is still waiting for us. When Shi Yuan said these words, Qingxi froze. And Su Xing gazed at Shaking, quite reluctant to part. Heavenly Solitary Star, are you willing or unwilling to participate in the star duels with us? Wuxia saw this and spoke. In this life, Shaking does not have any intentions to participate in the star duels at all. Lu Shaking calmly replied. Then your servant truly feels this is a pity. If there is a connection, then we shall meet again. Su Xing slightly smiled, preparing to leave. Hearing Su Xing say these words, Lu Shaking's heart could not help but have a ripple. Su Xing, wait a moment. And Su Xing turned around. Shaking is determined to comprehend the Chan of the star duels with the holy monk, but having received a disturbance, Lu Shaking was very solemn. Can I help you do anything? Su Xing scratched his head. Lu Shaking grasped the devil-sealing crescent moon Chan. She took in a deep breath, her gaze like a torch. She seriously and imposingly stared at Su Xing. Cut it down. What? Before Su Xing could come to his senses, Heavenly Solitary Star Lu Zhishan shockingly revolted. That devil-sealing crescent moon Chan drew past Su Xing. A terrifying force brought an intense wind pressure, shooting in all directions like a blade. Countless fragments already instantly sealed all of the space. A tyrannically chilly attack without the slightest bit of intent of kidding around. Su Xing was too late to deal with it. He subconsciously used his martial arts abilities, his entire person instantly ducking close together, as if he was a flying fish sticking close to and gliding over the water's surface. His speed increased a level. The devil-sealing crescent Moonchan's imposing air seemed to not exist before him. This scene made everyone stupefied, but the true attack absolutely was not these seeming fragments of wind pressure. Rather, it was the heavenly solitary star's fist that was already fully charged. Within the powerful wind pressure, Su Xing's figure was like a sea swallow piercing through a hurricane. Arhut punch. The heavenly solitary star's punch already seemed about to heavily cut Su Xing down to pieces. Su Xing was dumbstruck, completely unaware of what Lu Shaking was doing. The meditative mind lotus flower opened, and his two fists went forth and slammed against the Arhut punch. When Yan Yizhen and Gong Sun Huang saw that Lu Shaking attacked Su Xing, they were also about to make a move, but Wuxia stopped them. Siyo. This is the karma that Lord Husband and the heavenly solitary star must resolve. We must not make a move. Shaking will not harm Lord Husband at all. Wuxia slowly said. The heavenly solitary star already was determined to comprehend the Chan of the star duels. However, by doing so, she required the 5 aggregates to be calm. To know the world was an illusion. Buddhism's greatest taboo was the word feeling. 5 the so-called have too much feeling, and you shall fall. Have too much perception, and you shall ascend. Have half of feeling and half of perception, and you shall have the world. 6 True Buddhism Great Chan can be said to be a feelingless object. Su Xing had only just thanked Lu Shaking. Yan Yizhen and the others could not easily take action, and moreover, that Buddha West approaches would perhaps obstruct them. They could only stare closely at Su Xing. But what use does attacking Su Xing have? Shi Yuan was greatly confused. Shaking. Qingxi's side softly called. Shaking. Wang Jingji and the others were taken aback. Attacking Lord Su is only to have Lord Su make a move. When asked how to explain the word feeling, there is only killing intent that is capable of ridding it. So long as Lord Su shows killing intent toward Shaking, the word feeling in the heavenly solitary star's heart will naturally break. Qingxi sighed. Her heart did not know why she felt somewhat regretful. She should have seen that it was plain the heavenly solitary star held no feeling toward Su Xing. But when this matter truly occurred before her eyes, Qingxi only felt her heart constrict. In the end, she had lost to Su Xing. Elder sister Qingxi, when you speak with us, do not always mention that man as Lord Su. It is annoying. Lu Fang complained. Qingxi's pale face was suddenly red. She had become somewhat accustomed to this. However, he is very incredible, to surprisingly be able to make the heavenly solitary star stir her feelings. Just what is the background of this man, to even bloom the meditative mind lotus flower? Honestly, it is confusing. Wang Jingji was actually increasingly curious about Su Xing. The others deeply felt the same. If elder sister does not kill him, she will regret it in the future. Li Longkue coldly helped remind her. Qingxi has propriety. Qingxi did not wish to say more. Shaking, what are you doing? Lu Shaking's attack was fierce, each move rushing toward Su Xing's vital spots. There was an abundance of a spirit of a life or death struggle. Su Xing honestly could not understand how when they had just been on such good terms that she could about face so suddenly? This was too baffling. If you wish to blossom the meditative mind lotus flower, then do not spare Shaking any feeling. Lu Shaking's expression was ice-cold to the bone. Su Xing called forth a flying sword. Heaven-tearing descended, the sword's tip slashing. Lu Shaking's staff broke it. This was not enough. There was no killing intent. The heavenly solitary star jumped, her figure already like a meteorite outside the sky. Carrying a frightening kinetic energy and air-ripping whistle, she swiftly rushed down from the sky. Before she even got close, a massive pressure already pushed towards Su Xing, covering the sky and earth. The ground rolled up with cracks, the air surged with noise, adding even more might. Su Xing pointed, and Purple Mansion Immortal Thunder became several giant lotuses that revolved around. Bang! The lotus flower suddenly broke apart. Su Xing flashed by, dodging Lu Shaking's strike. If you wish to bloom the meditative mind lotus flower, just act. Lu Shaking coldly smiled. Her hands gripped the Devil's Sealing Crescent Moon Chan, one hand grabbing at the air. A powerful sucking force grasped Su Xing's whole body to pull him over. 7. And the Devil's Sealing Crescent Moon Chan came sweeping at him head-on. Sensing Lu Shaking's resolution, Su Xing stowed his relaxed appearance. He activated the meditative mind lotus flower to unfurl in response to Lu Shaking's exclamation. Borrowing it to jump high, he soared to high altitudes. Although I don't know what you're thinking of doing, Shaking, your servant shall oblige you. Su Xing only treated this to be the same as when he originally sparred with Lin Yingmei, and his will to fight ignited. With one hand gripping his hair fluttering with the gale, the Su Xing who swiftly plunged from the sky put one hand in front, and then pulled his other hand completely behind him. The star energy of his whole body circulated to protect him, and one after another of countless violently revolving air rings seemingly springing forth from nothing appeared in his surroundings. In the end, they gathered into a powerful, dragon-like tornado, enveloping Su Xing. The meditative mind lotus flower bloomed inch by inch as it rapidly fell, carrying with it a powerful force as it plunged. Everyone was stifled. Lu Shaking's expression carelessly moved. She used one hand to meet it head-on. Boom! An enormous noise like an earthquake jolted the 7-floor stupa pagoda. Only after a long while did it slowly settle. Incredible! Su Xing grit his teeth in amazement. The Tathagata divine palm he had learned from Kung Fu was surprisingly caught by Lu Shaking with one hand. Her tremendous monster strength was completely not inferior to his power. Shaking, this still isn't enough. Su Xing smiled. Before Lu Shaking could understand, the star energy rings on Su Xing's body descended one after another. Each time, they struck her body, raising ripples of seeming disintegration. The pagoda once again shook. This time, everyone nearly was unbalanced. Did Su Xing finally act out? Qingxi sighed. The dust cleared. Lu Shaking was somewhat in a difficult situation. Her clothes had burst apart, revealing snowy shoulders and a bare back. Even her tube top was exposed, her breasts towering. Flowery tattoos were practically crammed from her shoulder down her back, beautiful enough to be shocking. Sorry. Su Xing sweat. The Chan thoughts in his mind suddenly vanished. He hastily flipped out a set of clothes to cover her with. Lu Shaking's face was completely red, her eyes nevertheless moist. Why? 8. Su Xing was taken aback. Why is your killing intent not enough? Lu Shaking raised the Chan staff. Su Xing nimbly evaded. The heavenly solitary star wrathfully drew near. Those clothes covering her fell away from her body. The girl drew near, one hand seizing Su Xing's collar, and about to pummel him. When Su Xing saw that things were not good, he used softness to conquer strength, pressing on Lu Shaking's wrist and shoulders, then exchanged their centers of gravity. Lu Shaking watched stunned. Before she could understand, Su Xing already pushed her onto the ground, and their lips nearly pressed together. Shaking, what killing intent? Su Xing said. A manly yang entered her nostrils. Lu Shaking only felt her heart's distractions become increasingly entrenched, unable to budge at all. Go away. Lu Shaking pushed, her arm strength boundless as she directly pushed Su Xing aside. Qingxi was already speechless. She felt that Lu Shaking attempting to force killing intent out of Su Xing to sever her feelings was simply a gain that did not make up the losses. Now, it seems that Su Xing not only lacked killing intent, on the contrary, he had apparently thrown himself into a battle with her. The more they enjoyed themselves, the more their styles were intimate. How was this feelings of killing? 9. Clearly this was flirtation. 10. Suddenly Lu Shaking halted her attack. She coldly glared at Su Xing, her skin already secreting sweat. The heavenly solitary star glanced at Shi Yuan and the others. All of a sudden, she coldly snorted, again attacking Su Xing. Su Xing proceeded to block. Just at this moment, Lu Shaking changed directions, astonishingly aiming her attack at Tang Lianxin. This sudden turn made everyone surprised. Lu Shaking's hands gripped the devil-sealing crescent moon Chan, slashing at Tang Lianxin. The relaxed smile disappeared from Su Xing's face, and his figure flashed by. 24 flying swords opened their imposing sword tips brimming with swiftness and severity, slight killing intent diffusing, sending Lu Shaking back. Tang Lianxin was startled. Su Xing appeared in front of her, the flying swords protecting them. His tone was disdainful. Lu Shaking, are you serious? Killing intent? Lu Shaking felt killing intent, but her heart nevertheless had a sort of indescribable discomfort. So it turned out to be this, after all. Only this can make you raise the mind to kill? Lu Shaking again recovered her calm. The faint distress in her eyes was covered fabulously. That instant, both sides had extremely cold, imposing airs. Enough! Wuxia, who could no longer watch, obstructed in the middle of Su Xing and Lu Shaking, rebuking them head-on. Wifey, what's the matter? Su Xing wrinkled his brow. Lu Shaking merely wishes to sever the word feeling, that she would do this. Wuxia said. Sever the word feeling? Su Xing temporarily did not understand. Wuxia glared at him, her expression saying, was it not because of your mistake that made the heavenly solitary star angry? Su Xing looked at Lu Shaking in shock. Could it be actually because of this? The slight red on Lu Shaking's face was a clear answer. It is not good to speak so much. Benefactor Su Xing, if you truly care for Shaking, then please help Shaking slay these thoughts. Shaking, so it was this all along. Su Xing raised his hand to look at the sitting Saint West approaches, his voice somewhat interrogative. Holy monk, could it be that this is the plan? To comprehend the meditative mind, the word feeling will only increase perplexion. Holy monk, Four Noble Truths answered. Shaking honestly is extremely funny. Su Xing coldly laughed. All of the girls were taken aback. They never thought Su Xing would dare to use contempt this way, speaking to Holy Monk Four Noble Truths with an angry tone. Could it be that Benefactor believes that it is wrong for Shaking to comprehend the meditative mind? Holy Monk Four Noble Truths opened his eyes and faintly smiled. I did not say that. Su Xing said. Shaking. Who said that you had to kill your feelings to comprehend Chan? If a person does not have feelings, then he is a dead man walking. Shaking. Could it be that the holy monk also feels that you need to turn yourself into a walking corpse first to comprehend Chan? Su Xing asked. Shaking merely wishes to break these distracting thoughts. What relationship does that have with being a walking corpse? Lu Shaking said. I only know that the proof people existed in the world is only because of feeling. Great Master also knows that how could those followers of Buddhism not have come out of feelings? Buddha said that. I glanced back 500 times into pre-life, only to exchange for an encounter with you in this life. How can this killing of feelings not be laughable? Lu Shaking did not have a reply. Su Xing looked, shook his head, and walked towards Lu Shaking, slowly reciting. That day, closing my eyes in the sutra hall's fragrant mist, suddenly I heard your chanting of incantations. 11 Lu Shaking was taken aback, and the others were also stunned. Su Xing slowly recited as he walked over. That month, I shook all of my sutra containers, not for ceremony, but only to touch your fingertips. 12 Su Xing drew increasingly near, making Lu Shaking's heart suddenly feel a sort of indescribable confusion. Su Xing continued to recite. It was obviously very soft, but Lu Shaking heard him very clearly, her heart shaken. That lifetime turned to mountains, turned to waters, not to study life, but only to meet with you along the way. 13. When Su Xing finished chanting the last stanza, he was already in front of Lu Shaking. His face wore a faint smile, making Lu Shaking have a sort of feeling of wanting to duck away from his gaze. However, her legs were seemingly run through with stakes, and she could only be trapped in this place. What are you saying? Lu Shaking's face was even redder, somewhat resentful. All of the girls were stupefied by the love poem that Su Xing recited. Su Xing nevertheless smiled. This is nothing more than something a certain senior monk wrote, and every word carried this feeling, word with them for his Buddha. Is killing your feelings the truth of Buddhism? Su Xing's counter-question made Lu Shaking unable to retort. But Lu Shaking clearly was still hesitating. Shaking, if you truly wish to kill your feelings to comprehend the meditative mind, I will help you. Su Xing sighed. Lu Shaking lifted her head, her gaze complex. Yes. Su Xing spread his arms. Make a move. Seeing Su Xing did not have the intent to counterattack, Lu Shaking froze. Why do you not act? It is because of me that you are trapped. To want to kill your feelings is not simple. Su Xing pointed to his stomach, calmly saying, stab right here and henceforth, you and I will no longer be interconnected. Everyone was shaken. Qingxi felt she had misheard. She increasingly was unable to see through the man in front of her, surprisingly mentioning this sort of art of killing feeling. However, upon careful thought, Qingxi's body shuddered. Lord husband. Master. The beauties cried out in alarm. No need to mind them. If you stab me, I won't die. I'll probably be gravely wounded. Just treat it as you helping me blossom this meditative mind lotus flower. How about it? This type of killing feelings is very simple. Su Xing smiled. Lu Shaking was stunned, her whole body trembling, her limpid eyes increasingly blank. Su Xing actually opened his chest wide for her to pierce. How could Lu Shaking do so? This completely violated her Chan study. Why? I won't hate you. Su Xing seriously said. Crafty, you are too crafty. Lu Shaking, you cannot engage him, he is merely thinking of bewitching you. Qingxi's heart had a shouting voice, but she nevertheless was unable to speak out. Lu Shaking gripped her weapon hesitantly. Hesitation cannot turn into a big deal. Allow your servant to cut this karma. Su Xing suddenly seized her weapon, and in front of everyone's eyes he forcefully stabbed at his stomach. Suddenly, the tip pierced through and appeared out his back. He was drenched in blood. Lord husband. Wuxia and the others suffered and wanted to rush over. Don't come over. This is between me and the heavenly solitary star. Su Xing held Lu Shaking's hand, piercing his stomach. His consciousness was very hazy. Su Xing used all of his power to maintain consciousness. He could not let go before Lu Shaking did. I will not die and can even obtain your meditative mind. You can also kill your feelings, have it both ways. What are you waiting for? He smiled, maintaining consciousness with difficulty. It broke. That fearless expression thoroughly broke Lu Shaking's final thought. Under everyone's stares, Lu Shaking released her hand. She stuck her lips on Su Xing's, a deep kiss full of passion. Everyone was dumbfounded. Su Xing also did not expect this, and his eyes widened. Suddenly, he felt his forehead flash with a searing pain, and Lu Shaking's forehead also simultaneously glimmered with a star crest. The two star crests began to link, finally interweaving together. Heavenly Solitary Star Lu Shaking had signed a contract. Do not commit folly. Lu Shaking coldly said, turning her head away. Under the Heavenly Solitary Star's contract, the puncture wound on Su Xing's body immediately disappeared, and his star power was full. A powerful star energy welled up in his body, and his boiling blood turned the galaxy in his body into a surging ocean. Su Xing surprisingly entered supercluster stage at the same time, and simultaneously, he also unfurled the meditative mind lotus flower's final bud in a breathtaking blossom. Ah, didn't you want to? Su Xing was very surprised. Lu Shaking was silent. Instead, she gazed at Holy Monk for Noble Truths. Holy Monk Shaking. To use feelings to comprehend Chan is also my Buddha's wish. Holy Monk Four Noble Truths was sincere. Lord husband, you truly were too impulsive just now. Wuxia and the others ran over, somewhat rebuking. Su Xing's stab just now made her heart break. I wouldn't die, and I thought there wouldn't be any disadvantages. Su Xing said out of embarrassment. I didn't expect it. Turning his head to gaze at Holy Monk for Noble Truths exchanging words with the Heavenly Solitary Star, this contract honestly was somewhat unprecedented. Wuxia also did not expect this. Perhaps Lord Husband's recitation of that poem touched her. And this young lady quite wishes to devote herself. Yuan nodded. Your Highness, do you truly believe that feelings are very important? Gongsun Huang sat on Su Xing's shoulder and expressed bewilderment. And of course, people are not vegetables which can be without feeling. Su Xing smiled. Then does your highness like 14 little Huang? Gongsun Huang blinked. Of course, how could you be my wife if I didn't like you? Su Xing said. How much do you like little Huang? Gongsun Huang made a rare follow-up question. Buddhist scripture says, I would turn into a stone bridge, endure 500 years of blowing wind, 500 years of shining sun, 500 years of pelting rain just for you to walk past over the bridge. Su Xing seriously said. Wuxia and the other girls were red in the face. Your highness, little Huang likes you. Gongsun Huang clasped Su Xing's cheeks, sweetly kissing him. Watch this. Back to Lin Yingmei and Wuxia. The pair were still waiting for Su Xing to emerge after having settled Qin Mingyue and Faceless. How could they have known that the Buddha's 6 ancestors actually would be the first to leave? The result was that before hearing anything, the Happiness Together Courtyard's group of cultivators began to make moves. Upon asking, they learned that senior monk Extreme Happiness had surprisingly died. Not only this, but the Stupa Saber Fast's Buddhist cultivators also followed. The other ancestors were not at all aware of the relationship between Su Xing and Wuxia. However, the Happiness Together Courtyard nevertheless understood that they now had to cooperate with the Stupa Saber Fast to exact revenge. The air instantly was torn apart by countless Buddhist auras and saber lights. All of the Buddhist cultivators simultaneously used their powers, artifacts, and magic weapons. Although their power was small, this many people acting at the same time actually had an imposing air that was a bit frightening. The sabers, swords and Chan staffs in their hands were full of a killing intent that Buddhists ought not have. These cultivators of resentment turned fury had already rushed over along with their killing murderous auras. Although they did not have the psychic communication on the level of a star generals, their coordination of this time's powers made their attack possess formidable power. However, from Lin Yingmei's perspective, this honestly was not worth a glance. All of their aggression was instantly frozen, and the wind ceased its flow. The artifacts, magic weapons, and arms were deflected by a cold wind. The cultivators were a bit flustered, but something immediately far more frightening was right behind. Lin Yingmei's eyes flashed with a chill. Swinging her spear, a powerful force rushed into the ground. The vanished wind suddenly bubbled forth and reappeared as a mad gale. Her rising hand brought with it an unexpectedly stirring up blizzard of ice and snow. Things happened so suddenly, leading to those cultivators to completely unceremoniously slam together with the blizzard. Some cultivators broke through the blizzard's obstruction, but they instantly were already unable to seize Lin Yingmei's traces. A berserk wind roared, flitting directly across the ends of the earth like a dagger piercing the heart. A succession of groans resounded. Those cultivators fell one after another. Lin Yingmei ascended towards the sky, her speed extremely quick, as if she wanted to break free the fetters of her body. The remaining cultivators noticed her presence, but they apparently were already too late. From the sky instantly came a terrifying pressure. All of the cultivators immediately raised their heads together. Lin Yingmei's silhouettes already wildly pounced down towards them like demons and gods. During her rapid descent, her head lowered, and her leg kicked up. The cold light in her eyes suddenly glinted, and her spear technique was brandished. Thereupon, the inevitable outcome was a crushing defeat. Do not kill them. Wuxia smiled. The other Buddhist sects will sort them out. And Lin Yingmei retracted her spear. Suddenly, a crimson star dazzled in the sky. Truly, he is a man that gives people headaches. Far away, Chao Gai muttered to herself, hiding with difficulty the cheerful smile in her eyes. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.